What is up, everyone? Please take a second to hit that like button. The more likes that we get in a short period of time, the more people the algorithm will bring into the chat to come hang out with us and see what's going on. So please hit that like button, let me know how you're doing, and happy freedom. You didn't waste no time. You come for me right in the beginning. Where is this nonsense? I'm sure you're just joking, but like, come on, man. Didn't even wait. Mike, Subaru Outbacks are for chicks, Jeff. I didn't even get my face on the screen yet. Like, come on, man. Goodness. Can't let that stuff slide. I had to let them know. That's why I got one. I don't want dudes riding my car. I like fur pie, son. Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate you hooligans being here. We're going to be busy today. We're going to start with the press briefing. We're going to show a little bit of March for Life. And we're going to show Old Man Walter. And we're probably going to go back to some more Marching for Life. It's going to be a busy day. So the press briefing is starting right now. It just kicked over. Karine's not waddled up on stage yet. We can at least put her on the screen. You guys are just in time. Just in time. Happy Freedom Snooks. What's up, Andrew? What's up, Matthew? What's up, Shanti? What's up, Sly Dog? What's up, K Guardian? What's up, Eric? What's up, Pam? What's up, Toy Mafia? Happy Freedom, Chris. What's up, Justin? What's up, T Lawton? What's up, John Costello? What's up, JP? What's up, Adrian? What's up, everyone? Appreciate you guys being here. Feeling spunky. I got like 103 fever right now. Sweating. I got my slider wide open. It's snowing outside. Yeah, I'm ready for it. Alright, let me read through the chat here real quick. Happy Freedom, Maria. Make sure you hooligans are racking up those likes. More likes, more hooligans. It's going to be a busy day, and I think we're going to be able to run just straight through. We're not going to have to break it up at all. It's going to be a marathon today. That's the plan. Okay, Guardian, the king is here now. The king has entered the building. We need to pull some Elvis sound bites and stuff. We'll see. We'll see. What's up, A. Lee? What's up, Miss Jamie? It's all right. Honestly, I think it's just from burning myself out. Been working on the website a lot, staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up at 7 and having some priorities I have to take care of early on in the day and whatnot. I think it's just catching up to me. I'm like freezing and sweating at the same time, but I don't necessarily feel sick. My body feels exhausted, and my mind is like a little flea buzzing around inside in there. But I don't actually feel sick, so I don't know what's going on. I think I'm just running myself a little ragged, so I'll probably take a nap after this or something, sleep in good. But we will have coffee with Hooligans tomorrow, so don't you worry. Sarge, you gonna cover the supposed anti-cop riots? Apparently, there's Antifa protesting a police training center. I'm trying to get a hold of that stuff. I know that there's been activity in Atlanta. They're holding an autonomous zone, I guess. I'm seeing clips of it all over Twitter, like all over Twitter, but I'm not able to find any sources. So I'm starting to get my feelers out there and see what's going on, because it's not the usual Antifa guys. These are freshmen, brand new Antifas. So I'm gonna be looking into it, and as soon as I can find some live footage, we'll definitely cover it. That's the problem though, is there hasn't been live footage. It's just little clips here and there, and a lot of it's coming from like journalist companies, not like just a regular guy with an iPhone out in the street. It's people who are like an LLC and stuff that are releasing these clips. So I don't know why they don't go live if they are there on the scene when it's happening. I don't know. It kind of seems like some staging, but either way, if we can find it live, we will be covering that. Chris, today they're claiming riots. Yeah, I've seen the flyers and stuff. Portland's been active too. I seen that there was some sort of anti-cop thing going on in Portland, and it was like midday yesterday, and I guess there was like officers on the scene and stuff, but they didn't do anything. They just stood there and watched the chaos, but all they were doing is spray painting and crying real hard. But don't you worry, guys, I'm looking into it.
Today we have John Kirby in the room, who's going to, from National Security Council, who's going to be talking about a couple of products and announcements from our national security space. So Kirby, the room is yours, and then I'll come back and take questions. Thanks, everybody. See you in a second.
Shut up, KJP.
Afternoon, everybody. Today, I want to take a little bit of time to discuss some new actions that we are going to be taking to counter the Russian private military company known as Wagner, which is committing atrocities and human rights abuses in Ukraine and, of course, elsewhere around the world. But first, I want to be able to provide some additional information about Wagner's operations in Ukraine. Now, as his military continues to struggle in Ukraine, President Putin is increasingly turning to Wagner, which is owned by Yevgeny Prigozhin, for military support. We are seeing indications, including in intelligence, that tensions between Wagner and the Russian Ministry of Defense are increasing. Wagner is becoming a rival power center to the Russian military and other Russian ministries. Publicly, Prigozhin and his fighters have criticized Russian generals and defense officials for their performance on the battlefield. Prigozhin is trying to advance his own interest in Ukraine, and Wagner is making military decisions based largely on what they will generate for Prigozhin.
Why does boyfriend make him wear that tie today?
We continue to assess that Wagner currently has approximately 50,000 personnel deployed to Ukraine, including 10,000...
What's up, Mr. Mountain? It's been a while. Mr. Mountain says he's a bot. I'm inclined to believe it. Appreciate you being here, Mr. Mountain.
Recruitment methods. Despite this, we assess that it is likely that Wagner will continue to recruit right out of Russian prisons. Due to recent events, we assess that it is likely there are mounting tensions between Russian officials and Mr. Prigozhin. I also want to discuss a little bit North Korea's ongoing support for Russia's military operations against Ukraine by providing arms and ammunition to Wagner. In part, because of our sanctions and export controls, Russia is searching for arms from foreign countries, including through Wagner. In recent weeks, we have seen North Korean officials falsely deny that they have provided arms to Wagner. As we have said publicly, North Korea delivered infantry rockets and missiles into Russia for use by Wagner toward the end of last year. So today, we are releasing some imagery of this initial delivery. This imagery shows that on November 18th, 5 Russian rail cars traveled from Russia to North Korea. On the next day, November 19th, North Korea loaded those rail cars with shipping containers, and the train returned to Russia. Now, while we assess that the amount of material delivered to Wagner has not changed battlefield dynamics in Ukraine, we do expect that it will continue to receive North Korean weapon systems. We obviously condemn North Korea's actions, and we urge North Korea to cease these deliveries to Wagner immediately. North Korea's actions. And we are going further by taking action against Wagner itself. Last month, the Department of Commerce designated Wagner as a military end user, which means we expanded the entity listing of Wagner to ensure that it cannot access equipment anywhere in the world based on U.S. technology or production equipment. Today, we are announcing additional actions that we are taking to help Ukraine defend itself against Russian and Wagner forces. First, the Department of Treasury will be designating Wagner as a significant transnational criminal organization under Executive Order 13581 as amended. In coordination with this designation, we will also impose additional sanctions next week against—
I had to move out of the way. He was chewing on my box. Big wink.
These actions recognize the transcontinental threat that Wagner poses, including through its ongoing pattern of serious criminal activity. With these
feeling saucy today.
There will be more to come. Our message to any company that is considering providing support to Wagner is simply this. Wagner is a criminal organization that is committing widespread atrocities and human rights abuses, and we will work relentlessly to identify, disrupt, expose, and target those who are assisting Wagner. Second, as we have stated previously, the arms transfers from the DPRK are in direct violation of United Nations Security Council resolutions. So today, we shared information on these violations with the Security Council's DPRK Sanctions Committee panel of experts. We will continue to raise these violations at the Security Council alongside our allies and partners. And third, of course, and I think—
You guys think he's menstruating?
Chairman Milley and Ramstein today.
I spent a lot of time on Twitter yesterday, forgive me.
Ukraine Defense Contact Group. We are continuing to provide Ukraine with the weapons and equipment that it needs to defend itself. So, and you saw today the significant new package of security assistance, which included more than 500 armored vehicles, including Bradleys, Stryker combat vehicles, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, otherwise known as MRAPs, and of Humvees, all in addition to the armored vehicles that we have already announced. Now, this package also contains critical additional air defense capabilities, including both more air defense systems and more surface-to-air missiles, as well as more ammunition for the artillery systems and the HIMARS, the advanced rocket systems, that the U.S. has already previously provided to Ukraine. Look, we've been clear, and the President has been consistent. We're going to continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes to defend itself, to defend its sovereignty, and to defend its territorial integrity. You saw those actions today, and everything we're doing as well with respect to North Korea and Wagner also reinforces those efforts. Thank you.
Okay, let's take a couple of questions.
Thank you. Can you explain what the practical effect is of this designation of a transnational criminal organization?
It will open up additional avenues for us to continue to not only—
Not gonna lie, I get a little confused when they say transnational. I'm not sure exactly right up front what they're talking about. It takes me a second now because they added all these new words to our casual American language.
Of nations and institutions that will be able to stop doing business with Wagner.
And then can I just ask one other question on Ukraine? What is the level of frustration here at the White House over Germany's position on giving tanks to Ukraine, especially since Germany doesn't have to give their own tanks, they just have to allow another country to send tanks to Ukraine?
We're working not only in lockstep with the Ukrainians, but with allies and partners all over the world. And these are all decisions that each nation makes for itself, sovereign decisions. We aren't arm twisting, and nobody's arm twisting us. We are working inside what you could consider a coalition of the willing here to provide Ukraine with the defense and security assistance that it needs. Germany, obviously a strong NATO ally, but they have stepped up. They have provided a lot of equipment, including some air defense and some armored vehicles of their own to Ukraine. And they have, as we have, evolved their support to Ukraine over time as the war has evolved and changed. And we are just in a different phase now in this war, and so we're all talking about what kinds of collective capabilities can be provided.
Way in the back.
Yes, John. Thanks, Terry. John, you've been asked this question many times. When you say you will continue to support Ukraine as long as they want, what do you mean by that? as long as they need. What do you mean by that? What winning looks like for you in Ukraine?
Well, as long as it takes means as long as it takes, and it means that I'm unable to give you a date certain on the calendar for, when.
Thank you so much, Red, for gifting 5 memberships on YouTube. I appreciate you, Red. Thank you.
It's going to be necessary in coming weeks and months for certain. And we want to make sure that we're meeting the need as best we can for Ukraine. And you had what does winning look like? President Zelensky gets to determine what victory looks like. We're not dictating that to him either. What we've said is we're going to continue to help them.
Sorry, I had to turn my software off. It was messing with the live.
They should, as they must, and to defend their citizens and their infrastructure.
What territory? Crimea is, do you want them to retake Crimea?
Crimea is Ukraine, and decisions about parts of Ukraine that Ukrainian armed forces are going to fight over or fight in or strike, that's up to President Zelensky and his military leaders.
Thank you very much.
There he is doing that weird thing with his head.
Brazil, President Lula said he's coming to the White House February 10th. So my first question is, can you confirm the date?
I can confirm that we look forward to seeing President Lula early next month.
And this week, President Biden said that the institutional structures in Brazil are collapsing. Is the White House concerned that the risks remain high in Brazil and democracy in Brazil is still a danger?
The President said at the time of those violent protests that we have confidence in Brazil's democratic institutions, and we certainly have confidence in the way the President has been handling himself throughout that time and afterward. And again, we look forward to welcoming him here at the White House and to having more and deeper discussions about improving and deepening the relationship between the United States and Brazil.
I hate when he gets up there and starts doing all the uhs.
Taking place in Brazil right now. Did the administration offer any kind of assistance to Brazil, either cooperation from U.S. law enforcement or intel agencies?
I think we made it clear at the time that we'd be happy to support in any way.
See, he starts doing the uhs, and then the reporters start doing the uhs, and then KJP gets up there and just goes super in front of everyone.
Admiral. First on Wagner, can you talk about what sanctions are on the table against North Korea, given the fact that you've already identified them as supporting Wagner?
I don't have anything to report right now in terms of specific sanctions.
Thank you so much, Eric, for continuing the membership program for 1 month. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Eric.
And we'll see where that conversation goes. But we're certainly not going to rule out the possibility for additional sanctions.
That's so awesome. It's been so long since I've seen a 1 month hooligan. I appreciate you.
Can you just help us understand how badly Ukraine needs these advanced battle tanks right now, or is it not time sensitive?
No, it's absolutely, we recognize that it's
The uhs are killing me. Happy for him, Ink Scars. Thanks for being here.
For the Ukrainians. So pardon me for repeating myself, but I think it's important to remember what kind of fighting we're talking about here. It's rough terrain and it's open ground, a lot of it in the Donbass. I've described it a bit like Kansas, a lot of farmland, and mostly towns and villages that are not that big, not major industrial cities. And so when you're fighting in an area like that, and we fully expect, the Ukrainians fully expect, that the fighting in the Donbass will continue here for weeks and months ahead. Combined arms maneuver, which is a fancy way of saying that you want to be able to maneuver on the ground quickly, effectively, with enough firepower against adversary ground forces. And so these vehicles, all of them, I know we're fixated on tanks, and I get that, but it's not just tanks. I mean, the Bradley fighting vehicles, which are they're tracked vehicles, they kind of look like a tank, but they're not. They don't have the same firepower as a tank. And these Strikers, which are 8-wheeled vehicles, but also they're very nimble, they're very fast, and they can deliver infantry troops on an open battlefield with much greater speed than if they didn't have those kinds of vehicles. And they are protected, they're armored. That's why we stress the armor capability here. Tanks also provide an ability to move efficiently around a battlefield, but of course they have much more firepower. And so it's perfectly understandable why President Zelensky, facing what he's facing in the Donbass and expecting to face those same threats going forward in coming weeks, would want, some tanks, additional tanks. It's not like he doesn't have any, but additional tanks to support his offensive and defensive operations in that particular part of the country.
Given what you just said, because the talks failed in Germany, does that change the U.S.'s position on sending the M1 Abrams at all?
I don't know that I would describe talks as failing in Germany.
Not progressing to the sense of,
I think they're trying to force us into an ad because I had the video pulled up. Let me refresh it really quick.
I mean, if you're talking about the asking for the fight that they're in, look, when it comes to
My apologies, hooligans. I appreciate you guys making donations. Just give me a second here. I don't want to talk all over the information. I'm going to shout you out. I appreciate you.
as best we can, and we'll do that. I don't have any decisions with respect to additional capabilities or systems like the Abrams to talk to today, but we're in constant communication with the Ukrainians about that. The Abrams is a powerful system. There's no doubt about it. It's also very expensive to operate, very expensive to fuel, very expensive to maintain.
He's letting us know because we're the ones paying the bill.
So there's a lot that goes in.
It's going to be really expensive.
We are talking about what we're going to do to support Ukraine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karine. John, I have two questions. First one on Wagner. What's your assessment on Wagner efficiency, success on the ground? Is Wagner better than the traditional Russian forces?
Well, Wagner would have you believe that. If you listen to Mr. Prigozhin and read his press releases, he would have you believe that he alone is achieving all the military victory in Ukraine. I will say this: they have been largely in
words
and in command of efforts in Bakhmut.
He's reaching at you.
Bakhmut called Soledar.
Take your 3D glasses off.
Go figure. And
He's using his wrinkly zombie hands.
with the Russian Defense Ministry. I will also say, and I've said this before, they have made incremental progress in both those areas. Now, we hold today that both towns are still contested. The Ukrainians haven't given them up. But there's no doubt that the Russians have made some incremental progress there. But they have done it at an extraordinary cost. And I'm not talking about Russian soldiers. I'm talking about Wagner convicts. I mean, greater than 90% of the thousands of casualties that Wagner alone, forget the Russian army for a minute, have sustained, have been convicts, have been ex-prisoners that they've just plucked out of jails and put into the fight with little or no training, no organizational capability whatsoever. So it has come at a cost. The last thing I'll say on this is, and I don't want to predict where it's going to go, but even if they are successful in Bakhmut or Soledar, it's not going to strategically change the dynamics on the battlefield. It's not going to set the Ukrainians back to a degree where they're all of a sudden on their back foot and they're losing. Now, obviously, the Ukrainians don't want to give up either town, and who could blame them? They're Ukrainian towns. They should be fighting for them, and we're trying to help them do that. But I think we need to keep in perspective what significance there may be, or in this case may not be, to either town falling. They are both mining towns, gypsum in Bakhmut and salt up in Soledar, and we think that also has a role to play in why Mr. Prigozhin is so adamant on pouring, just literally throwing bodies into a meat grinder to get these two towns. It's very much in keeping with his modus operandi in places like Africa, where he's going after mining rights and mining capabilities.
Question on Haiti. Any progress on the internationally respected forces on the ground? Any discussion further with Canada after the?
We're still discussing with our certainly with our Canadian counterparts, and you saw the President and Prime Minister Trudeau talk about this in Mexico City. Those conversations are continuing, not just with Canada, but multilaterally with other allies and partners about the concern. Sorry.
Brazil too.
I don't have a list of all the countries we're talking to, but clearly we're talking to other allies and partners about the situation in Haiti. We're looking for additional ways to hold to account the criminal organizations, the thugs, the gangs that continue to propagate violence and instability there in Haiti. But I don't have anything specific with a multinational force to speak to today. Those conversations are ongoing.
We have to wrap it up. Go ahead, James, in the back of the room.
Karine, thank you. Admiral, thank you. I have two questions.
Karine's the one calling on the reporters, the ones who are allowed to ask questions.
The decision on production levels by OPEC Plus that so incensed the administration, was announced on October 5. That prompted the administration to vow that there would be a recalibration of the U.S.-Saudi relationship, and as a feature of that, that some kind of adverse consequences would be imposed on the Saudis. We are now closing in on February. It seems to me that whatever consultations the administration would have wanted to pursue internally and with members of Congress on the Hill have had ample time to unfold at this point, and no such consequences have been announced. Do you want the Saudis to understand that there will be no...
Thank you so much, Miss Jamie, for continuing the membership program for 4 months. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Put more restrictions on arms sales to Saudi Arabia. So there's already been, just in terms of arms sales, an effect on Saudi Arabia. And the discussions continue. We didn't say we were going to do some sort of homework assignment and get back to you in 2 weeks. We said we were going to continue to look at this relationship to make sure that it's best serving the American people and our national security interests, and the president's going to keep doing that. That said, and I've said this many times before, Saudi Arabia is...
Thank you so much, Sarge, for that $1.50 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you.
So we have to be mindful of the shared interest and common security challenges that we both face.
On Iran, can you attest that can you attest that since President Biden took office, Iran has not diminished its breakout time?
I'm not going to talk about intelligence matters that I am not allowed to talk about here at the podium with respect to specific breakout time for the Iranians. What I can tell you, James, is that we continue to believe that their breakout time is shortening because there's no deal in place. The president's been clear that we are not going to allow Iran to achieve a nuclear weapons capability. He's serious about that.
So you're telling us that absent a renewed JCPOA, you have no options for keeping their breakout time where it was?
That is not what I'm saying at all. I said the president said we're going to make sure that Iran cannot achieve a nuclear weapons capability. We're not focused on the Iran deal right now. Iran decided that they weren't going to take the negotiations seriously and instead decided to brutalize their own people and to support Russia's war in Ukraine. And so that's where our focus is. But we also have to make sure that we have all the capabilities and resources available to us in the region and beyond to defend our national security interests. That's what the president said. That's what we're focused on.
Thank you. It has been said that it
detained an American citizen that they say was suspected of gathering biological intelligence. It's been a day now. Has the administration been able to make contact, been in touch? Anything you can say about that?
I don't have an update for you on that. Let me take the question and see if we can get you something. I don't have an update for you.
Can I ask you one more Russia-related question? The Coast Guard yesterday off Hawaii said that they were keeping track of a Russian sort of spy ship, intelligence gathering ship. At what point does that concern you? At what point is that so unusual that we need to figure out exactly what they're doing?
It's not unusual. I mean, obviously, we're mindful of it, and we're going to continue to monitor. I think you saw our commanders out in the Pacific talk about that. We'll obviously monitor that, but it is not completely atypical behavior for the Russians. And, you know, the fact that we see it.
What's up, no mandates? Thank you so much, big fella, for that $5 donation on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I mean, of course, we take it seriously. I mean, we understand that the Russians are going to try to collect intelligence through a variety of different means. That's not new. What I'm saying is it's not a completely new phenomenon. It's not something we haven't seen before, and we know how to...
Thank you so much, Sarge Kookie, for that $20 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Sarge. Like he says, hit that like button. More likes, more hooligans.
To help Russia, if it's a country that reports show is having trouble feeding its own citizens.
Yeah, not every country that should observes the sanctions regime. So they are still able to trade with countries like Russia and with China. Obviously that's a whole different set of problems, but they are able to skirt sanctions to continue to funnel money into their economy. But let's keep it in perspective, Jeff. This is not a burgeoning economy. This is not a country that is wealthy by any stretch or is necessarily viable and flexible.
Sounds like he's running out of steam.
And one follow-up on Darlene and Regis' questioning. What does Germany, from your perspective, need to hear now, either from the United States or from the rest of the NATO allies before giving a green light to those Leopard tanks?
I don't think they need to hear anything specific from the United States other than what we've been saying, Jeff, which is that these are sovereign.
Here's your check.
We welcome them. We do believe that there is a need for armored capability, including tanks inside Ukraine. And the Leopard tank is a terrific system. Very, very modern, very effective. And so I think we've been nothing but clear, privately and publicly, with Germany and all our allies and partners, that if you can meet a need that the Ukrainians have, then we obviously want to see you do that. And again, I point you back to today in Ramstein. I mean, so many nations showed up to contribute and to offer additional capabilities, including in the armored space to Ukraine. So I mean, I think, again, we've been very consistent on this.
One more Ukraine. Guys, we don't have a lot of time, so thank you so much, John. Have a good weekend. All right, happy 2-year anniversary to us. Anyway, all right, today marks 2 years since President Biden and Vice President Harris were sworn in to office, as you all know. In the past.
Oh yeah, I got to remember to play that video that they made. They made a pre-recorded acting video. Old man Walter and Harris did. Got to remember to play that.
Administration. In fact, over the last 24 months, nearly 11 million jobs have been created, including 750,000 manufacturing jobs. The unemployment rate is near a 50-year low. Nearly 10.5 million Americans have applied to start a new small business. Inflation is now at its lowest since October of 2021. We funded 7,900 projects through the bipartisan infrastructure law, reaching over 4,000 communities all across the country. And private companies have announced nearly $300 billion in investments across the United States. The president will mark today's anniversary with nearly 200 bipartisan mayors from across the country, which will be happening very, very soon. And you will hear more from both the president and some of our nation's mayors who are here today after the briefing. Really quickly, I have one thing that I want to share with all of you, which is the week ahead. It is Friday. Today, the president will be traveling to Rehoboth, Delaware. He will return to Washington, D.C. on Monday. On Tuesday, the president will host Democratic congressional leaders at the White House. In the evening, the president will also host a White House reception for new members of Congress. On Thursday, the president will deliver remarks on our economic progress since taking office. That evening, the White House will host a Lunar New Year reception in the East Room. And of course, per usual, we will have more to share as the days go by. Okay, Darlene, welcome. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time.
That's true.
Okay, good. I always say that to Josh, and he's like, no, that's not true.
I had a question about the chart, but it disappeared.
Okay.
She's got a crush on Josh. She keeps saying stuff like that. She could show up here with a black eye.
Can you talk a little bit about what message the White House is trying to send on Sunday by having the Vice President deliver a speech on abortion rights in the state of Florida, and specifically in the state capital of Tallahassee?
So as you know, Florida is an important state as we're talking about fighting for women's health care for a few reasons, and let me just run through them. Florida has an abortion ban, which is on the books, so that's number one. It is the third largest state in the country, as you all know, and is surrounded by several states around its border with even more restrictive abortion laws, and those bans which are in place as well. And because Florida's ban is less stringent than in the neighboring states, the state has increasingly become a place where women can go to access care there. Yet right now the state is considering an even more extreme ban on the books, which would be devastating not just for Florida women, but if you think about, again, the southern region, if you think about the states that Florida borders. And so it is important in this moment that we are currently in. And also, it was the first state that the vice president visited after the devastating situation that we received just a couple months ago. And so again, this is something that after the Dobbs decision, so she felt it would be a good state for the 50th anniversary, which would have been the 50th anniversary of Roe v. Wade.
And on the chart, there are two headings there that say record healthcare enrollment. One says 11 million, nearly 11 million. The other says nearly 15.9. What's the difference?
That's a good question. I would have to ask our team. I'm going to be very, very honest with you on that. Let me get back to the team, and then we'll be able to decipher the difference.
Really quick question. The president going to his home in Rehoboth Beach today, does that have anything to do with classified documents being found at Wilmington and none being found at Rehoboth?
So as it relates to classified documents, information, which the president takes very, very seriously, and you heard him speak to it when he was asked by your colleagues yesterday when he was traveling in California, I would refer you to the White House Counsel Office for any statement coming from here or anything new developments coming from here, but as it relates specifically to the investigation, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. So I'm not going to comment on that piece at all from here. I'm just going to continue to be prudent and consistent and respect the Department of Justice process. As it relates to his travel, as you know, he often travels to Delaware on the weekends. I just don't have anything else to share. But anything related to the legal process, I would refer you to the White House Counsel Office. I'm going to try and go around here.
They're going to probably wrap this up pretty soon. Old Man Walter's live just started. He's not on stage yet, but I imagine they're going to wrap this up.
African American Studies, saying it violates Florida's new state law. It, quote, significantly lacks educational value. Does the White House have concerns about this action by the DeSantis administration?
So first, I want to be very clear. The administration does not dictate any curriculum for local schools. That is not something that we do here. But there is something that we do want to comment. It is incomprehensible that to see that this is what this ban or this block, to be more specific, that DeSantis has put forward. If you think about the study of Black Americans, that is what he wants to block. And again, these types of actions aren't new. They're not new from what we're seeing, especially from Florida, sadly.
I don't know what that was about right there.
From talking about who they are and who they love, as we've talked about many times here in this briefing room. They have banned more books in schools and libraries than almost every other state in the country. And let's not forget, they didn't block, be more clear, I want to make sure I'm using the right word here. They didn't block AP European history. They didn't block our music history. They didn't block our...
Oh, you don't like that?
But the state chooses...
But it's okay when you reach out to social media and silence Americans one by one on their account on how they communicate digitally? But you don't like it when it comes back? Weird. That's weird. People who love control can't stand to see other people in control.
Determination of why this occurred and why this happened. Again, it is not our place...
Thank you so much, Big Fella, for continuing the membership program for 1 month. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Karine. You mentioned lawmakers will be back in town next week. There's a new-ish Speaker of the House. Does the President have any desire to have him to the White House to meet face-to-face?
So I know there's been reporting on this. I don't have a date to confirm from here about a potential meeting with Speaker, the newly minted, as you just trying to say, Speaker McCarthy. The President has, as I just mentioned at the top, as you just said, Phil, a series of meeting with, is going to have a series of meeting with leadership in Congress to talk about a range of issues that matter to the American people. Again, don't have anything to confirm here. And one of the things that the President is looking forward to do is talking about issues that matter to the American people, as I just stated, but also to continue to develop and grow their relationship, their working relationship.
Every day she gets closer and closer to being Porky Pig.
To announce from
the uhs and the stuttering. I love when she stutters the that's when you know it's going to be a good day.
The debt limit, would the President reiterate the position that you guys have been firm on?
Well, I'll say this. Look, it's a range of issues, and I just said the President has been very clear about where we stand on the position of default. Really, very clear. I've said it. The President has said it. It is something that has been repeated when you think about dealing with the debt limit, when you think about what Congress has been able to do the last 3 times times with the last administration, and it's a responsibility that they have. It is a basic responsibility that Congress has to deal with the debt ceiling. And so we have been clear on this. The president has been clear on this. It should not be used as a political weapon, we should not be putting it in a hostage situation. We should be dealing with this in a way that is responsible.
Hostage situation. We're going to be doing the chicken bacon today. I can already tell that.
Just talked through the first 2 years of this presidency and what he has been able to do with the economy, building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. And the president wants to continue to build on our successes. And that's what Republicans in the Congress should want to do, continue to build on that, work with us, not take us back. And so that's going to be the focus of this president, as he has been focused on this past 2 years. Okay, well, if the pool needs to go, I'll continue. Go ahead.
So, isn't it customary to have a meeting with the Speaker and the First Speaker of Congress returning?
They're heading over to Old Man Walter.
Speaker McCarthy, and how should we take this?
No, look, the president is looking forward to meeting with Speaker McCarthy. We are. I just don't have a date to share with all of you at this time. But he's looking forward to meeting with Speaker McCarthy and to.
As a meeting about the debt limit specifically.
Well, no, I mean, look, it's going to be.
It's like she was mocking me.
And when the president speaks to members, when he has meetings with members, he talks about a range of issues. I don't want to get ahead of a meeting that has not been locked in. It's a little bit of a hypothetical here. But again, when the president normally talks to congressional members, when he has meetings with them, there are a range of issues that are talked about. But we have been very, very clear from here about where we stand when it comes to the debt ceiling. I have been clear. The president has been clear. It should not be used as a political football. But again, he's looking forward to meeting with the Speaker and continue to build on that relationship.
Does the president have a view on whether it should be suspended or whether it should be increased? Whether Trump 3 times was suspended and then snapped back in?
Look, we think that Congress should deal with this in a bipartisan fashion, as they have about 78 times in the past. This is something that Congress has done. It is their basic responsibility as a congressional member, and that's what we want to see. Anything else about the specifics, that's up to Congress. But this is something that needs to be dealt with. We're talking about jobs, right? We're talking about seniors. We're talking about veterans. Right? We're talking about real life potential.
Do better. You're not selling it. You're just not selling it to us.
So it should not be used in a way to hold the debt ceiling in hostage, right? Because they want to cut Social Security. Right?
They've abused us so much, we're just numb to the nonsense.
They want to cut Medicare. That should not be where we are right now. We should not be moving forward in conversations about the debt ceiling in that way. They should be dealing with it. Okay.
What does the president mean when he said no regrets? Because he's also said he takes seriously the handling of classified documents. So I'm unclear what he means about no regret.
So I'm not going to comment further from what the president has said yesterday. I think he laid out his thoughts. He was asked about it. He laid out his thoughts of whatever question he was asked. I'm not going to get into specifics, or I'm not going to go beyond what the president has said. But I will reiterate from here that, and basically what he said to all of you many times at this point, that he does indeed take classified information and seriously. He does indeed take classified documents seriously. I'm just not going to go beyond that. I would refer you to the White House counsel's office for any specifics.
No regrets. Look at all you guys in the chat. Yep.
Comments or how the process is moving forward.
Can you just shed light on was he referring to sort of the rollout of the information, or about the timeline, or I'm just unclear about what he's not regretting.
And Kelly O, I totally understand the question.
He doesn't regret mishandling classified documents because there will be no accountability. And he's just blatantly saying it right to our face that he's going to do what he wants and there's nothing we can do about it. And that's too bad. No regrets.
The president's words stand for itself. I'm going to go around here. Go ahead.
Thanks. Quickly, do you have any update on the president getting a physical? He hasn't had one in a year. I don't know if he intends to get one.
Yeah, I've spoken to this a couple of times. He will have one by the time the end of this month is out. And so we will do the same that we did the last time. And back in 2021, we provide with full transparency his medical virtual physical. And so, again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to be transparent. We will share the information. We will have more to share about that before the month is over.
And then I also wanted to ask, without speaking about the investigation or the special counsel specifically, if you could walk us through a little bit of what the process in general is supposed to be when classified documents are improperly found, and if the White House has any role in those circumstances, if they refer anything to the Office of Director of National Intelligence, or sort of what that process should be. Again, sort of not necessarily referencing the current situation, but just in general.
I hear the question. It's been asked to me many different ways, many different times.
I'm trying yet another.
And I appreciate the effort. Again, I am going to refer you on the particulars of the process and how it goes down and how it works. I'm going to refer you to the White House Counsel office, my colleagues there. They will be happy to engage with you and listen to your question and answer it the best that they can. I am just not going to be speaking it from here, and my colleagues who have already been engaging with many of your colleagues and probably you over the last 2 weeks. I'll let them take care of that. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Karine. Could you just speak a little bit more about why is it Vice President Harris who's going to be giving the speech, in particular her, on Sunday? And does the President have a message for the people at the right, the March for Life march?
So as you know, the March for Life march happens every year. And so we support peaceful, free, even when we disagree with it. Clearly, it is not it is not an issue in their point of view. We do not agree with. Look, because the president believes that it is critical. It is a critical pillar of democracy to do that in a peaceful way, to march, and so of course we support that. But that said, we want to make sure that we continue to underscore the ongoing attacks on women's rights to make their own health care decision. This is something that the Biden-Harris administration has taken very seriously. This is something that you have heard us take action, executive action on. And this is an issue that we're going to continue to ask Congress to make sure that they take actions on this as well as we go into the next couple of days into what would have been
I don't know how they talk about men menstruating and then they turn around and talk about women's rights.
Let's not forget.
You guys don't care about women's rights.
Voters,
not at all. All that nonsense you guys support over there at the White House is a big, huge flag of not caring about women's rights.
We protect our people's rights, and they want to see that. And so that is...
Been watching those toasters trample all over women's rights for a year now, maybe even longer.
Speech, free of speech, peaceful march, even though we don't agree with their particular policy or issue.
The Vice President, why is she doing the speech?
Give me 1 second. If anybody wants to go and cover the president, you're free to do so. You do not feel if you're confirmed.
Karine says you're allowed to go cover the president.
Yeah, I know if folks have been registered and confirmed to go, please.
Their life is having a moment. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for the $10 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You've seen the Vice President be a leader on this issue over the last several months since the Dobbs decision came down this past summer. It is not unusual. I had just mentioned that after Florida was the first state that she visited after the Dobbs decision, and so she's going back. And the importance of Florida, right? The importance of where it is located and the border states around it, and why we think it's important, and she thinks clearly is important to go make that speech in Tallahassee on Sunday. But again, the Vice President has been a leader on this, so has the President. You've heard from both of them multiple times. You've seen her bring roundtables together to really try to figure out how to deal with this critical issue of protecting from this White House for sure. Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
Thanks, Greg. Yesterday, the former president, President Trump, called for the jailing of a pair of reporters from Politico who published that leaked Supreme Court opinion last year, as well as the editor who supervised them and the publisher of Politico. And I know there was a White House statement that went out earlier today, but I was hoping you could weigh in a little further on how the president feels about that sort of talk and his commitment to press freedom.
I can tell you that the president believes the freedom of press is part of the bedrock of our American democracy. That is something that he truly believes, and that we should be, continue to fight for. And calling for egregious abuses of power in order to suppress the constitutional rights of reporters is an insult. It is a complete insult to the rule of law and undermines fundamental American values and traditions. So instead, it's the responsibility of all leaders to protect First Amendment rights, and that's what the president.
Oh my God! How can you say that when the White House is in connection with Twitter and Facebook and everybody? How can you even say that?
He sat for very, very few interviews since he took office, particularly with print publications. Can you commit to making him more available for one-on-ones with both print and other outlets this year?
Here's what I can tell you. The president is going to engage with reporters almost on a daily basis. He did it yesterday. He took questions from
He took a question, and then he walked away after saying no regrets.
And he believes that's important. He believes it's an opportunity.
Lies. Thank you so much, Sam, for gifting 5 memberships on YouTube. I appreciate you, Sam. Thank you.
You're an important vessel to the American people, right? Pushing out what he is doing on behalf of the American people. He does that almost every day. Almost every day when he's in front of all of you, he takes a question.
Thank you so much, Channel Q, for that $5 donation. I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Move around, Christina.
Thank you for taking my question, Karine. You were just mentioning a possibility of executive actions on behalf of the American people. I was just wondering if the administration is considering any help or relief for thousands of immigrants that were paroled into this country before the agreement of the $30,000 a month. They're here. They don't have jobs. They're depending on different communities, charity work, and some of them have told us that they don't have court dates for another 2 years.
So a couple of things.
Did she just say that they get $30K a month? Because I could use that too.
Okay.
I'll learn whatever language you want me to learn for $30K a month.
The parole program that President Biden announced is, because I know that's usually how this question is connected to, is limited to individuals who are seeking to enter the United States in a legal.
Captain Miss Shenanigans. Always. It's always shenanigans. Appreciate you being here, Captain.
Enforcement procedures under Title VIII. If an immigration judge determines they have a legal basis to stay in the country, they can. If they don't, they will be subjected to removal as required by law. Of course, since day one, the president has taken this issue very seriously. That's why he put forth.
Yeah, we need to write the White House. All of us hooligans here, we could use $30K a month.
Fix the system.
Learn whatever language you want.
And so
we'll show up to the live.
Talk to and
whatever you want.
Instead of doing political stunts like we have seen them do over and over again, to actually come to the table and deal with this issue. This is a president who has done more on this issue than any other president. When you think about the record funding that he's been able to put forth, and also trying to figure out multiple ways.
Justin says he's on his way to get some Rosetta Stone right now.
Who want to come in and come through a legal process. He's offered many.
Make sure you fill out the check to Mr. Hooligan.
He has used the tools that are in front of him to deal with immigration, to deal with border security. But again, he needs Congress, especially Republicans in Congress, to stop doing political stunts and to come to the table and actually deal with an issue that matters to the American people in a real concrete way, not in a way that we're doing political stunts and putting people's lives at risk. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thanks, Bridget. On the topic of executive authority, the president's proclamation today, marking what would have been the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, said that he would continue to use executive authority to protect women's rights. What other actions are on the table? And if there are other possible actions on the table, why hasn't he taken them yet?
So look, we're going to take a look of the tools that the president has in front of him to see if there's any other executive actions clearly that he can take. But he took some right after the Dobbs decision came down. He took a couple of executive actions, and he took them right away in consultation with organizations who really are fighting every day for women's rights. But again, the way that we are going to really deal with what we're seeing currently with Roe v. Wade and making sure that it becomes law is for Congress to act, and that's what you're going to continue to hear from this president. That's what you're going to continue to hear from the vice president, and he's going to certainly, and she will too, use their platform to make that very clear to the American people.
You guys feel like you've exhausted your options?
I'll just say this. I mean, the proclamation pretty much laid it out very clearly. We're going to see what else we can do. But again, it's going to take congressional action to truly deal with this issue. Okay.
Does the president have any concern about the number of job cuts that are happening in the tech sector? Alphabet announced, it's Google's parent company, obviously announced 12,000 job cuts today, follows Microsoft earlier this week, following several thousand from last year as well. Is this something the president is concerned about?
So, of course, we watch very closely when we hear these types of reports of Americans losing jobs. That is something that the president is certainly aware of.
Yes, tell us how good the economy is doing.
His team. But, there are data that shows, and I mentioned this the other day, that companies are still continuing to grow. That is important, and they're investing in the United States. So those data points exist. We're seeing that. Layoffs remain record low. According to job opening data, the U.S. economy continues to grow. Initial unemployment claims are historically low.
If any of that is true, then that means that there's a power shift happening, that there is somewhere behind the scenes that is growing while these major corporations we're watching laying everyone off. So if the economy itself is still rising, then who's out here doing the power grab?
Certainly watch that very closely.
One clarification, if I can, on the president's answer yesterday to the documents. He said in that answer that he is doing everything that attorneys are asking him to do, so it was protocol and everything. Was his answer vetted through counsel or anything like that? Can you tell us that?
I mean, it's the same thing that he has said before, which is he and his team are cooperating fully. That's
These ads are killing me.
That's the same
Yeah.
answer he has given many times, and so has his White House counsel's office. Is that his?
Thank you so much, Snooks, for gifting 10 memberships on YouTube. I appreciate you, Snooks. Thank you for everything you do.
Before, but again, I'm not going to parse the words of the president. It is, you heard him say what he gave his remarks and make his statement. I'm just not going to dive into that.
And then on the meeting on Tuesday with Democratic members, can you sort of characterize what that meeting is? Is it sort of a temperature taking as agendas and priorities are set for the upcoming State of the Union speech?
Well, look, I mean, it is part of the new Congress, right? New leadership with the new Congress is an opportunity, clearly ahead of the State of the Union, to connect and continue to grow the relationships that he has with leadership. And they're going to talk about a range of issues. It is not uncommon. I think somebody just pointed that to me. I think it was Josh who said, how common it is for the president to meet with leadership at this time. So again, we're doing what the president believes is important as he tries to deliver for the American people, to try and do that bipartisanship that he talked about right after the midterms, because that we understand that's what the American people want to see, and so that's what you're going to see next week with the president. Go ahead, Steve.
Thanks. Back on what you said in your answer to Josh about the debt ceiling and the question of entitlements. The Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget said in the fall that what the president was arguing in the lead up to the midterms was that Republicans would cut Social Security, cut Medicare, but that the president was not offering his own specific plan for how to ensure the stability of those programs. There were a few sentences on the campaign website 3 years ago. Does the president have a plan to ensure that Social Security and Medicare will remain solvent in the future? This is now the halfway point of this administration.
The president's plan is that he's going to protect Social Security, he's going to protect Medicare, and what he is saying very clearly here, and we have said this, you heard us, as you mentioned, you heard us say it during the fall, is that we're going to continue to call out Republicans who are threatening. They are threatening to forced cuts on Social Security, on Medicare, and critical programs that benefits everyday Americans because they want to play this political gamesmanship. And that is something that we are going to call out. As it relates to the debt ceiling, this is something that should be done in a bipartisan way. That's what the president believes. That's what he has been saying very, very clearly. We should not put on the chopping blocks the very programs that matter to American people. Let's not forget, they've already paid in to those programs: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Yes, tell us what matters to the American people.
And Republicans.
That always kills me.
My question, though, is, what they say is that Medicare in 3 to 5 years will not be able to meet all of its obligations. Social Security, 12 years, will not be able to meet all of its obligations. The president's been president for 2 years. He hopes to be president for 6 more years. When is he going to lay out a specific plan? Will we hear it at the State of the Union? Will it come in 2023?
What we're saying is, and I just said this, these are programs that the American people pay into. These are programs that are veterans, that are seniors, right? Americans across the country really value and need. And when you have these MAGA Republicans in the House who are saying they're going to hold the debt ceiling unless those things are cut, that is a problem. That is not how this works. I mentioned 78 times that the debt ceiling has been dealt with. 3 times in the last administration. So we should not be doing this with conditions. It should be done without conditions, and we should not be negotiating around it. And let me just give you a couple of validators, because I think it's important. This came from Leader McConnell, who said America must never default on its debt. It's never has and never will. Neil Bradley, who I think I talked about a little bit, from Chamber of Commerce a couple days ago, you're talking about wiping out the very underpinnings of the U.S. economy. I mean, that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to hold programs that are critical and important, again, to our veterans, to our seniors, because they're trying to play political games. And that is the thing that the president's going to continue to call out against. Okay, Alicia.
Thanks, Karine.
Oh, he is? I'm so sorry, guys. The president's about to speak. I can't step on the president. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Are you still fit for this job? With your performance last week, are you still fit for the job of president? Happy Friday.
All right, hooligans, we're going to move over to Old Man Walter. If he's not on stage, we can take a peek at the march. I do have the march going on in the background. Just give me a second.
Here right now. Where are you guys from?
Iowa City.
Being a young person, what got you involved in
Okay, apparently they're having some issues. Just give me a second here.
the pro-life movement?
First, it was my parents. Then I got involved at my local Love Them Both chapter at Colonial.
I'm going to see if their Rumble channel's running.
Fort High School. I'm now the club treasurer, and I'm dedicated to
and the unborn.
It's very special for us. We are
way smoother.
In Brazil, it's not the abortion, it's not legalization. And
I wish Rumble didn't have 15 different buttons at the bottom of the screen. I couldn't figure out how to make it full screen.
You see this, and we have to go in together. Now in Brazil, we have a government abortion that try to legalization this crime. So we're very glad to be here. We talk with deputies and senators here. We have 3 deputies here: Carla Zambelli, Sóstenes Cavalcante, Bia Kisses, and me. That working senator. Yes. And we're very glad to be and very proud to be here.
We've had some people from Korea here as well, so a lot of nations that are representing on this very historical day in our nation's capital. Okay, for maybe all of for people around the world right now, deliver a message to them, maybe in Brazil, that you're here fighting for the life of the unborn. So go ahead.
Voilà.
In Brazil, we are concerned because our president now is for abortion. In Brazil, the legislative is illegal. The abortion is illegal. But we want to say to you all over the world, in Canada, for example, the abortion is free, and we want to ask you, help us to save lives.
What do you
help
think? I
us
think we're
to
off to a
get
pretty
more
good start.
people to change their hearts and minds to fight for life. And we are so certain, we have so much faith that we can do it. We can do it.
I think Oreo Express is supposed to also be there. He may be there already.
So much going on in Brazil, all other protests. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, our last president was against abortion. He's against abortion, and he do it so much public agreements against abortion. And in the first week of Lula in the presidency, he took off all the political abortion pro-life and put some politicals that for abortion. And we are so worried because in the legislative, in the Congress, we are more conservative, and I think that it's almost impossible to change the law in Brazil for put the abortion in legal thing. But in the Supreme Court, we have activism there that maybe we can they can change the law in the Supreme Court. That's illegal. That's inconstitutional. But but it's happening in Brazil. That because the manifestation that you see in Brazil is against the Supreme Court and that activism. More than 2,000 people was arrested because they say, Lula, you are bandido, ladrão, como é que fala? Criminal. Lula, criminal. Your place is in the jail.
I had an opportunity to meet Bolsonaro's son here about a year ago. Great gentleman, great family, and we really support him. And it made me upset to see what happened.
We win this election. Brazil is stolen. We won. Thank you.
I think we know a little something about that in this country as well.
We will fight.
I think we're going to switch to a street view to get more of a view of what it would be like to be there in person. So give me a second.
And now, right now, my social media, all the social media, I have 10 million followers.
Well, apparently they don't have audio. We might switch it again. just gonna sit here for just a moment. I'm gonna see what other views we can get of this event. We're kind of just filling time right now. We're waiting for old man Walter. I doubt we're gonna see any kind of conflict or anything until the end of the march, which is kind of what I'm waiting on. Is the end of the march is usually when there's bad actors and stuff like that. But I'm gonna be searching around here and see what all views we can find of this March for Life. Oh, never mind. It's old man Walter time. Give me a second.
Distinguished guests, the President of the United States, accompanied by the U.S. Conference of Mayors President and Miami, Florida Mayor Francis Suarez, and U.S. Conference of Mayors Second Vice President and Columbus, Ohio Mayor Andy Ginther.
That's some fancy stuff. I want a violinist in my living room. Every time I walk out in the morning, they just play the theme music. It'd be awesome. I'll just end up being Google.
For continuing this incredible tradition of inviting the mayors from the U.S. Conference of Mayors to the White House. It's really an honor. And I'll tell you, as I walked through this iconic building with my family, I couldn't help but notice the picture of bipartisan presidents throughout the years. And I thought that was a wonderful testament to the bipartisan nature of our organization, of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And it was reminded me of a story that my dad once told me. He said that at a particularly difficult moment in Lyndon Johnson's presidency, they said to him, "You know, Mr. President, can it get any worse?" And he sort of thought about it and he paused and he said, "Oh, sure, I could be a mayor."
That's a fact.
So thank you so much, Mr. President. Mr. President, honorable members and fellow mayors, America's mayors stand on the front lines of American democracy. We serve the American people every day, from every background and in every part of the country. We listen and lead. We serve and protect. And we deliver for everyone. While we hold different viewpoints, philosophies, and experiences, today we all carry a common message. Our federal government should act, and we need it to act as quickly as possible. It needs to address the potholes of America. It needs to find a solution to the humanitarian and security crises on our border. This means addressing the core drivers, not just the symptoms of this crisis. From our confronting the repressive regimes of Latin America to the human trafficking cartels, we must act. And we also must act on modernizing our visa system and our dysfunctional immigration laws. And I was pleased to see you, Mr. President, begin to address these issues recently when you visited the border. But of course, we all know we have a long way to go. We also need to act on public safety. We, from the federal government to the local government, need to clearly support our police. You said that just a year ago at our conference. We must bring the defund police movement to an end in word and in deed. We must support. We know the president is committed to funding law enforcement, and for that, we are grateful. We also must revisit failed policies like no cash bail, which seem to be contributing to the spike in violent crime in our city.
What about those jab policies? You guys getting too thin now? Can't protect the streets and stuff because you fired everyone? Yeah, we're seeing the nurses do it too.
Security, all of us here must balance our budget and honor our debts. The federal government must do the same, just as mayors.
Everybody taking turns spitting in the rags and blowing their nose.
Finally, we should continue working together in the spirit of the bipartisan infrastructure law by further building out our American infrastructure, from roads and bridges to our digital economy. We share your concerns about strengthening our infrastructure and our security. We need to do more. We want to do more. and God willing, we will do more. Together, to strengthen America and keep our future strong. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your hospitality. And thank you again for hosting us today in the White House. And now I'd like to introduce the second Vice President of the conference, Andy Ginther, the Mayor of Columbus, Ohio, the heartland of the country, to share a few remarks on how our partnership with the administration is rebuilding American manufacturing, we just talked about, and strengthening the nation's economy. Thank you.
No way would I shake old man Walter's hands.
Thank you.
Oh man, it made me contract a little.
All of our colleagues here today, as President.
Almost started menstruating. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, calm down. I'm gonna get some coffee. I'll be right back.
U.S. Conference of Mayors. I have the pleasure this afternoon of introducing someone who has been an incredible friend, our strongest ally as America's mayors. When this president, think about this, just 2 years ago, this president entered office, American cities were hurting. We were still trying to make our way through the most disruptive global event in any of our lifetimes. Mayors were on the front lines of the pandemic and all the downstream consequences: economic disruption, mental illness, gun violence, homelessness. We got to work, and so did this president. He said, we're not just going to build back. He said, we're not just going to build back, we're going to build back better. And working hand in hand with local leaders, he has delivered over and over and over again.
You hooligans always crack me up burning my chat down. That's how I can tell who's been here the longest. I appreciate you guys.
Our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Cochran, has been at the helm of the Conference of Mayors for more than 50 years. I know he agrees when I say the last 2 years have been the most consequential and productive for mayors in the history of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So much of that is thanks to our partnership with President Biden. The American Rescue Plan ensured we could protect public health, keep city workers on the job, and keep our local economies afloat. The bipartisan infrastructure law, allowing us not to just catch up on years of neglect, but jump ahead and claim the future and beat out the rest of the world so we have the most efficient and safe transportation system for the 21st century. The Inflation Reduction Act delivers on one of the mayor's biggest priorities, fighting back against climate change. The gun safety legislation shows that fighting back against gun violence is possible.
Thank you, Snicks. I appreciate you.
More to do, but we do not accept that deaths from gun violence in our communities are just an acceptable part of living in America. The first time since the Clinton administration, bipartisan gun safety legislation is now the law of the land because of this president. And something incredibly important to my community in our part of Ohio, the CHIPS and Science Act. It will ensure that the United States, not China, is leading the development of new technology. It has the potential to turn the old Rust Belt into the new Silicon Valley. Not bad for 2 years of work. Look, we're a bipartisan group. Mayors don't let politics or partisanship get in the way of getting things done for the people we serve. Former Mayor of Pittsburgh used to say there are 3 kinds of people in America: Republicans, Democrats, and mayors. When someone says it can't be done, we just work harder. I can't tell you how refreshing it is to have a president who works like mayors. I know he'll be the first to tell you we've got a lot more work to do, and we need to do it together. But I think it's worth taking a moment to appreciate how far we have come and all that we've accomplished together.
Look, old man Walter lost. He has no idea what this guy's talking about.
Republicans, Democrats, and independents come together to fight for America. Mr. President, thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and most importantly, your friendship with America's mayors. Friends, it is a great privilege and honor for this little kid from Columbus to introduce the 46th President of the United States, America's greatest champion of mayors, President Joe Biden.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You better sit down.
That doesn't really sound like clapping to me.
It's going to my head.
Oh, there they go. Gotta give him his own mic, because he's a stand-up comedian.
Kid from Scranton. Look, Mayor Suarez, thank you for your leadership at the conference. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat. But, and Andy, thank you for that introduction. You know, it's wonderful to finally welcome all of you to the White House after not being able to be here because of the pandemic for so long.
Can we get the old guy some water? Like, come on.
Some of you know I started my career.
All that staff can't bring him a cup of water.
In the state of Delaware, and then I ran for the U.S. Senate because serving as a local official was too hard. They know where you live. They knock on your door. And I've always had enormous respect for the job you do. And by the way, Suarez, you and I have something else in common. You know what it is? We both married way above our station. Way, way above our station.
It's not as effective if you say it every time you're live, old man Walter.
It's self-evident. Today is 2 years since I was sworn in as president. And and with your help, we've gotten a lot done. I think if you look around the room, we got a lot of cabinet members who are mayors. A lot of mayors. You got old Mitch Landry from Nolans down there, you know. And that's like being mayor of a country. Yeah.
I told you, he thinks he's a stand-up comedian.
University, in large part because his dad, is a long story, but when he was mayor, and I thought she's going to come home talking with boy talking funny.
Kimberly. She said, Pepe, is that you? Is that you, Pepe the Frog? Right in the throat, huh? Right where it's needed.
Even though he's the secretary, they still call him Mayor Pete. And, you know, you got Marty Walsh from Boston. I don't know where Marty is. We got a lot of mayors, and that's why I think we're making such progress. Look.
So it's offensive to imitate foreign language accents, but it's not offensive to imitate Boston accents? Is that how it works?
Things done. And that's not hyperbole, it's a fact. Choice, as a matter of fact. Yesterday I was in California. We're grappling with historic California. Start off, the governor looked at me and said, Mr. President, we used to be the fifth.
All the diddlers like, woo.
That's true in the world. I tell you what, so I genuflected and we moved on. I said, that means you don't need that $10 billion we just gave you, right? And y'all think I'm kidding, that's what we did, $10 billion. But all kidding aside, he's a great governor and has written well. But look, dealing with historic storms and flooding, you know, when your town or city...
Come on, man, with that lip smacking.
It's the first call. I've seen it. I've traveled this country after floods and tornadoes, wildfires, hurricanes. As a matter of fact, I was kidding, but there's a serious piece to it when I pointed out that to the governor, we got to stop taking these helicopter rides, because I went over this. I think it was the 5th one in the state, traveling the state. More of the forest is burned down there up in Oregon than the entire state of Missouri. I mean, it's a long, long, long way. A lot of damage. And I want to thank the mayors across the country for doing
When he does little things like that, I swear to God, those are signals.
It matters that you're the ones who make sure, as trite as this.
You'll see him stare right out to the crowd and then like touch his face in a really weird way.
Catch to work and be able to continue to be there on time, and so much more of significant consequence. But those things are consequential. You affect people's quality of life more than any other group of people in the world. And mayors know the measure of success isn't how many partisan points you score, it's how many problems you fix. Can you fix the problem? When I came to office, we had a lot of problems.
He just turned the mic off.
Can you hear me? The pandemic was raging, our economy was reeling, but we acted together. Now,
where's Handler Jill? Somebody call Handler Jill.
From the bottom up and the middle out, not just the top down. Because when we do that, by the way, the wealthy do very, very well. And everybody, the poor have a shot, and the middle class can have a little breathing room. An economy that benefits that folks in the heartland as well as in our cities and all across America. And, you know, I remember, you know, as I said, my family, I was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania. When Cole died when I was in 3rd grade, we had to move. But I go back to Scranton. Everybody's joke is they're from Scranton. Everybody's from Scranton. But think of all the towns you know, and some of you are mayors of, that they go through school, they want to stay where their family is, where their relatives are, where they know everything, and they have to say, Mom, I got to leave. There's no jobs here. There's no jobs here in my town. I'm serious. I'm deadly earnest. And what we're trying to do is not just rebuild the economy, bring back the pride.
On a side note, that KJP live that just happened has 635 thumbs down, but only 100 thumbs up.
That's the whole purpose of what we're trying to do in our cities when people used to move out. But, you know, now they're beginning to move back in. Cities are growing, not just big cities, small towns as well. The economy, the rewards work where we don't need a college degree to provide for your family. It helps to have that college degree, but you don't need it to provide for your family. 2 years ago this week.
No, you need 2 or 3 incomes in every home just to be able to afford the bills, because one income is not enough anymore.
Lowest levels in decades. The unemployment rate is as low as it's been.
Yell over the people clapping for you.
11 million jobs, 750,000 manufacturing jobs. Where in the hell is it written to say we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world in this? I mean it. Not a joke. I got so sick and tired of us exporting jobs and importing product. We're now importing jobs and exporting product. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing. I really mean it. Because we're beginning to invest in ourselves again because of you all. Over the last 2 years, more Americans applied to start a small business than any year in history, any year on record. They make up 50% of all the economy.
We started investing in ourselves again because of you all. What were you doing before? And what have we done that's different now?
Breathe just a little bit easier. But folks, it's not only that. Pride is coming back to American communities and to American cities. And that's not just on the coast. As I
think he's telling us there's going to be an upsell and rainbow flags.
Local communities that have been forgotten for much too long. Much too long. And it's not an accident. It's a strategy. When I came to office, a strategy that we stuck to, even in the face of a lot of criticism, a strategy that we put into action, a strategy to recover and rebuild and invest in America. You know, hesitate a second to just digress a little bit. We used to invest 2% of our GDP in research and development every year. That's what we did in America. But then along the way we stopped. We stopped investing in America in research and development. We invest now 0.7%. We used to be number 1. Now China is number 2. We're number 8. I mean, there's things we've allowed to happen. It's not been
what did that mean? We used to be number 1. Now China's number 2.
And the way in which
okay.
we changed the way we dealt with corporate law, a whole range of things. But we're changing it. and we're changing it. As I said, we're going to export product, not jobs. With your support, I signed the law of the American Rescue Plan to deliver immediate economic relief to families and communities that needed it most. One study found that before the law was passed, 70% of the mayors in America expected to cut critical jobs.
He had to wipe that child off his face.
27% of you were facing steep cuts in police department budgets. So we acted. And with the CARES Act we passed under the previous administration, some of it had to go to you had to go to your legislatures for permission to get the money. I've been the bad guy when I was a senator and as vice president, a pain in the neck. Why do you have to go through the legislature? No, I'm serious. I'm deadly earnest about that. Because you go through the legislature, you can't blame them. They say, I want a piece of my district. But you can apply directly. When I wrote the cops bill years ago, you didn't have to go to the legislature or governor to determine. You could apply directly. If you qualified, you got it directly. You got the money directly. Well, that's what we're talking about. And things began to change. Instead, we made sure the American Rescue Plan empowered you directly.
I am totally convinced that there's people off camera on the sidelines telling everyone to clap and stuff like that. Because he seems disconnected with it. They clap and he starts screaming over them like he's inconvenienced by the clapping, as if he doesn't expect it in his speech.
Hey, is the mayor here? There you are, Mayor. Well, you gave premium pay to police officers and firefighters to keep them on the job. It was a big deal. In Mesa, Arizona, Mayor Giles, I don't know where the mayor's here. I got to get people in trouble calling this out. Yeah. Mr. Mayor, how are you? Bought 5 new ambulances, hired behavioral health clinicians to help the fire department in crisis calls. And by the way, you know, when a cop turns off in a domestic violence case or someone's standing on the edge of a bridge, they don't need a cop. They need a psychologist with them. That's why we're putting more people. No, I'm serious. We're beginning to understand this all again. And a lot of you are applying for the money and using it for these mental health issues as well. You know, there are countless examples when it comes to public safety.
Wait a minute. They're up here talking about getting rid of defund the police movement that they were supporting, but then turning around and says that if someone's on the edge, right, they're on the edge, they don't need an officer. They need a social worker. Well, if you paid any attention to the defund the police movement, the whole point was to defund them and bring in more social workers to fill those jobs, because people are such victims, they can't talk to an officer. They need some soft-handed social worker to come pick them up.
And
I don't know. You're hitting yourself in the foot there, old man Walter. You're telling on yourself.
Investments in public safety ever. And every single Republican in Congress voted against it. But a lot of mayors said, you talked to your representative, said, whoa, that you know, that may be Biden's idea, but not all his ideas are bad. Oh, you think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding, you know. Many cities from Newark, New Jersey, to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but all kidding aside, have made major investments in community violence intervention initiatives. These studies have shown in some cases they can reduce violent crime up to 60%, particularly among our youth. It doesn't always do that much, but it can do that much. But as you, Mayor, know better than most, when you see these problems of crime and the opioid epidemic, you know...
Double O Jim. Next time somebody tries to break into my house, send a shrink. Right. Exactly.
That as well. By the way, Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General, has been really focusing on this a great deal. A lot of you have worked with him. Through the American Rescue Plan, we provided initial funding for cities to start to address some of the mental health needs arising from the pandemic. $5 billion for states and community organizations to deliver mental health and substance abuse treatment. $103 million in funding specifically to address mental health for frontline health professionals, like nurses. You read in your communities, you've dealt with your hospitals, where the nurses are just overworked and having serious, serious problems in terms of their own.
Thank you so much, Hair Juicer, for that $10 donation on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you. This speech is fantastic already. Thanks for covering all this boring crap and polishing the turds. Love you, dog. I'm serious. Not kidding. It's not a joke. Big deal. I'm in trouble. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Make sure the first responders have what they need when they respond to overdoses for young people who are dying. And by the way, we've confiscated enormous amount of fentanyl, not just at the border, but beyond the border. We've confiscated throughout, I think it's, let me get the number here. I don't want to get it wrong. We've confiscated 379 million doses of fentanyl. And by the way, 100,000, mostly kids, have died from fentanyl.
Just blew the mic out. I think they're muting the mic on him.
As mayors, you know how much this matters. That's why I brought many former mayors into the administration. Keisha Lance Bottoms is here. So. He said it was harder being mayor of Atlanta than being president, but I don't know. I'm only kidding, but all kidding aside.
I'm only kidding, but all kidding aside.
Engagement led the city's...
He knows we think he's a joke.
Make sure to bring the perspective of local officials and community leaders to decisions we make here at the White House. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack, a former mayor in Iowa, is strengthening our nation's rural communities, and he really is. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. And I know he's a Secretary of Agriculture, but what he's doing, American grocery stores are stocked while American farmers thrive and our young people have access to food when schools are closed. Secretary of Housing and Urban Affairs, Marcia Fudge. Marcia's right here. She got a hell of a job, a former mayor in Ohio, working very hard to close the wealth gap, expanding efforts to build generational wealth through home ownership.
Hillbilly at heart. He needs to go after the people that make it. China. Yep.
90% of them through investing in their homes. They were able to buy it.
He won't do that, though.
That's how they were able to borrow to get their kids to school. That's how they built their equity. Well, the same thing is happening now, and she's working really hard to provide that opportunity, and as well as combating homelessness, which a lot of you are dealing with on your streets. And while folks continue to recover, we're also rebuilding.
Aren't you dealing with that on your streets, old man Walter? Isn't there a homeless problem in D.C.?
Now my senior advisor and infrastructure coordinator to helping rebuild America through a once-in-a-generation bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's always hard to make. He's working with all of you to modernize our nation's roads, highways, bridges, railroads, airports, ports, water systems, the internet, and so much more. Last year alone, nearly 7,000 projects were identified and are underway with funding from the infrastructure law. By the end of this year, that'll be more than 20,000, more than 20,000. If I can hesitate again for a second, digress slightly. One of the things I've been telling the press, they look at me like I'm wonderful, right? No, all kidding aside, why I keep saying it. We did a lot last year with your help. It's only now beginning to bear fruit because we passed this infrastructure bill. That's a 10-year bill, and it's taken time to get it off the ground. Mitch McConnell and I just announced the construction of a new bridge, $1 billion across the Ohio River. It's going to fundamentally change transportation north and south, not just from Ohio to Kentucky, but across the nation. So many things are happening. We passed the bill relating to the cost of insulin. Well, guess what? Only now, as of January 1st, a lot of people are waking up and finding out if they're on Medicare, they only have to pay $35 a month instead of $400 a month.
He gave that stutter so much momentum.
And I want the drug companies to be able to make money, but I tell you what, able to explain when they raised the price that as beyond inflation, that they invested more money in what they did in order to justify the price. Otherwise, guess what?
Guess what?
Get it from them under the law. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. We're doing things that just make some common sense. Just some common sense because of you all. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, former mayor of Boston, he's parking his cars. I kid Marty. But he's making sure these projects have prevailing wage and purporting to move and suggest for significant apprenticeships so people can make a living off of what they're doing. And by the way, I'm going to talk in a minute about dealing with the whole idea of what we're doing in terms of new investments and with the CHIPS legislation. Well, one of the leading investors of over, I think it's so far $22 billion in the United States from another country. I said, why are you investing in America? He said, because you got the best workers and you're the safest environment in the world in which we can do this. So we're helping to rebuild our economy with jobs that don't require 4-year degrees, promoting an economy that works for middle class and working class Americans. Transportation Secretary Pete is here. Look, we know
who?
Better known as Mayor Pete, but working with many of you to address those quality of life issues that really matter to people you serve. Not just through big bridges and highway projects, but through, though they're important, but also through smaller projects that are critical to your cities. Like in Madison, Wisconsin, where Mayor Rhodes Conway is buying 46 electric buses, replacing those dirty diesels, bad for the health of the environment, and making
the dirty diesels. When they started saying that?
Open City Rebuild Airport. There you are. Okay. Well, thank you. And it means our kids aren't going to be inhaling that diesel fumes when they get off the bus. For real, it matters. Environmentally.
I'm way more worried about like CRT and stuff.
We're helping cities.
Way more than the diesel.
Andre Dickens
at all.
Orlando with Mayor Buddy Dyer, in L.A. with Karen Bass, and with the leadership of Vice President Harris, we're partnering with you to deliver affordable high-speed internet to every single household in America. Affordable high-speed internet. So no parent has to park in front of a McDonald's to do the homework with their kid when they're on when the school's not in session.
They're going to give reparations to McDonald's from taking all this business away from them?
Big deal for farmers, I might add, and a whole lot of other people to know exactly what products are costing.
McDonald's offering free Wi-Fi as a marketing strategy, actually. That's why it's posted on the windows and stuff.
Pass the law. We're also making the biggest investment ever in climate. The Inflation Reduction Act. We're creating millions of good-paying jobs and investing in fence-line communities that have suffered the most as a consequence of being smothered by pollution. Think of the Cancer Alley in Louisiana or Route 9 in Delaware, where all those facilities are. Well, we made a commitment. We're going to invest first and foremost as we clean up those communities. The people from that community, and we're going to invest in that, make that community better again. Our economic agenda ignited a manufacturing boom, the semiconductor boom, the battery boom, the electric vehicle boom. We're making things in America again in every part of America, cities large and small. The mayor of Phoenix, Kate, is Kate here? Thank you, Kate, for being here.
Where's Jackie?
I was with her last month to announce a small investment. $40 billion. $40 billion invested by TMSC, the two semiconductor factories, and thousands of union workers helping to build them. And Andy, you know, the Field of Dreams outside of Columbus, where Intel's investing, it's 100 acres, but they're investing $20 billion. Expand semiconductor manufacturing, I said 1,000 acres. I dubbed it, I didn't mean it.
Oh man, Walter, you're outdoing yourself today.
It is. It's a field of dreams. And by the way, of those jobs, of those 12,000 jobs, 7,000 are construction jobs. But guess what? They're paying prevailing wage. And those 5,000 jobs left, the average salary at those places, they tell them, are going to be $123,000 a year, and you don't need a college degree to do those jobs. This is in part urged by all of you. This is happening in no small part because of the bipartisan CHIPS and Science Act. Everybody signed on. The folks who've joined me at the bill signing and other victories. With your support, so many of you we've signed the first major gun legislation in 30 years. I'll say what I've said before, not all of you are going to agree with me, but we're going to ban assault weapons. Once we're going to do it again.
That's all right. We don't need weapons made of salt. We don't have any are made of salt, man. There's no salt weapons, so you do what you need.
University of Roe v. Wade. We're continuing to fight and protect women's right to choose. Last year, when I held the first of its kind White House summit at the request of others against hate-fueled violence, this group led the effort with 150 mayors to sign a compact, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, to prevent and address this type of violence in our communities. I'm committed to continue this work with all of you, but I need you badly. But there's more to do. As was mentioned by your president, immigration is another major issue affecting many of your communities, particularly border communities and near communities. I visited the border earlier this month, first time as president. I've been there before, but the first time as president. And I'm taking action where I have the legal capacity to do so. I'll continue to call on Congress to act to pass comprehensive immigration reform to fix the system. The first bill I introduced was a comprehensive reform legislation on immigration. But because of some in the Congress, they refused to consider it. They found it a better issue to campaign on than an issue to solve. So we have a choice. They can keep using immigration to try to score political points, or we can help solve the problem. Immigration reform used to be a bipartisan issue, and we can make it that again, in my view. Let me close with this. I ran for office for 3 reasons. One was, and even my campaign team thought I was wrong in terms of the basis upon which I was running. But one of the things after, when I got elected as a 29-year-old kid to the Senate, I had to wait to be legally to be able to be sworn in because I wasn't old enough. No joke. They talked about, my being the youngest. I wasn't. There was one younger elected popularly than I was. But, I
what?
A lot of time.
Just zoned out, staring off into the distance.
All the time, Mr. Mayor.
Remembering when he was a young lad 300 years ago.
He was a decent man. We never had a crossword with us. Progressive Republican who helped write the Clean Water and Clean Air Act, etc. But we had disagreements on a number of other things. And second time I ran, he actually endorsed me. But the point is this is simple.
He'll be lucky if I don't pull the thumbnail of him double fisting that microphone and use that as the image for this live.
And I used to think about it, the people for the next 3-4 years that asked me that who were running for office in Delaware. And I finally figured it out. And you all are successful and you know it. I said, the secret is, have you figured out what's worth losing over? Have you figured out?
Don, who holds a mic like that? I don't know.
And win and have to compromise on it. And so when I ran this time, and I had not planned on running again, and all of you were probably saying, why the hell didn't you follow your instinct? But I honest to God didn't. My son had passed away, and I had no desire to. I was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Things were going fine. To make a long story short, when I did, I decided there were 3 reasons to run. And I mean it.
Professor Walter.
Restore the soul of America. The decency, honor, the idea we could deal with one another. No, I genuinely mean it. It's the way, and I've been this way my whole career, how we build the economy. From the bottom up and the middle out, for real. Look, I come from the state of corporate America. More corporations are incorporated in my state than every other one of your states combined. And I got elected 7 times there. So, it wasn't I was anti-corporate, but I have a different view in terms of what the priority should be. And so, as I said, when the middle does well, they generate hope, give chance to the working class, and when they do well, the wealthy do very, very well. Well, and the third reason I ran, which has turned out to be the hardest to deal with, and that's unite the country. We are a democracy. We cannot be sustained.
Nah, pretty sure we're a republic. That's all right, old man Walter. You don't know where you are.
For the last 2 years since my inauguration, I think we've made some progress, large part because of many of you sitting in this room.
Is that what this is?
I'm optimistic in the year ahead that we're implementing the laws we've already passed. We will deliver real benefits, and people are going to feel them in their everyday lives. That work we're going to continue to do.
It's trans progress. It looks one way, but it's really another.
Our best days are ahead of us, not behind us. And I really mean it. I was asked by my senior team, and Peter remembers, said, if I could do anything to change the attitude of optimism in America, what was the one thing I'd do? Just I could change one thing.
Sign an executive order, probably.
I said I'd cure cancer. And they looked at me like, well, cure cancer? Because
his Secret Service is shaking their head right now. They're like, don't talk about that, old man Walter. Last time you told everybody you had cancer.
Do big things again. There's nothing beyond our capacity, I swear to God. There is nothing beyond the capacity of the States of America. Remember who in hell we are. We're the United States of America. When we work together, there's nothing beyond our capacity. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So we got to work together, folks. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
That poor Mike.
Turn it over to Julie.
Mike is just getting maxed out.
Thank you. They gave me a different mic they can turn off, so I...
They gave you a mic that they could turn off.
From a couple of mayors. We'll start with Mayor Tashara Jones from St. Louis, Missouri.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Mayor, how are you?
Great, great. Thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law and the CHIPS and Science Act, we're seeing jobs return to our cities, and we're preparing our citizens for the many opportunities to come. What can we as mayors do to help you further your agenda of shoring up our national security and bring more high-quality jobs to America's cities?
I think two things. One, be realistic and don't confuse the national debt with debt reduction on a yearly basis. The debt we're paying on, and we're going to have a little discussion about that with the new majority leader of the House, has accumulated over 200 years. Over 200 years. Not a joke. That's how long, that's what...
It's not a joke. He's got to keep reminding us, this isn't a joke. He's just a comedian.
It's over 200 years. And 1/4 of that debt, 1/4 of that debt was accumulated in the 4 years of my predecessor. 1/4 of it. So what we've actually done, Mayor, we've actually cut the deficit on a yearly basis. In the first year, because of what you, I'm not being solicitous, because of what you all did, $350 billion. And last year, this year, we cut that deficit on a yearly basis by over $1 trillion. So it's over $1 trillion, roughly $400 billion we've cut the deficit. The yearly deficit, year to year. We got to focus on making sure we do not accumulate more debt on the historic 200 years and gradually continue to reduce it. One of the things that we've done is the budget we're going to be introducing, you're all going to see, is expected to reduce the debt another $1 trillion this next year by spending more, spending less than we bring in. Now the big debate, I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to talk about in the State of the Union, is a fundamental disagreement on what we should do to cut. What do we cut? Well, it's not just cutting. What do you raise? What taxes do people pay? How do they pay their taxes? And do they pay it fairly? And so one of the things that's going to be a big issue in dealing with the national debt that could, if we don't meet our national debt and renege on the first time, we have a calamity that exceeds anything that's ever happened financially in the United States. And so one of the things that we're going to do is it's going to get down to a decision of whether do we, in fact, make sure that folks, do we cut Social Security to raise taxes on trillionaires? Billionaires. There's 745 or 50 billionaires in America. Average tax rate they pay is 2%. I think you should be able to be a billionaire, but I think you should pay a little more than 2%. No, and by the way, I'm not trying, as Mary Douglas knows me well, I'm not trying to.
The transcript's going to have 15 I's in a row.
Now the argument, there's a lot of arguments why that shouldn't be, because they generate so much energy and so much growth, et cetera. But there's a lot of things we can do. Now the option that's going to be offered, you're going to see, is they want to, the way to deal with cutting that debt is to cut Social Security, cut Medicaid. We got to do something about Social Security. No, but these are the kind of debates we're going to have. And they're going to be honest debates. For you, it seems to me, for a mayor, the things that I believe, and I've not been a mayor, but I think I've watched long enough to know the difference between great ones like you and folks who don't do much, or don't, I shouldn't say don't too much. I shouldn't say.
Nice.
You've had more difficulty, is focus on the things that make your city unique and make it grow. What are the things that make it
That's going to age well.
I mean, I could go on, but I'm just going to give you one example. We're in a situation where if you were one of the reasons why America became the most advanced and economically prosperous nation in the 21st century, we're the first nation in the world to have a universal education system, grades 1 through 12. Now, others had systems that were superior to ours in terms of their exclusiveness, but not universal. Now, I wonder if anybody, if today we were starting off and saying, you know, we're going to decide we're going to have a universal education system. Would anybody think in the second quarter of the 21st century that 12 years was enough to compete? I don't think so, for real. So a lot of you are doing a lot of experimental work in terms of not just pre-K, but you're doing it in terms of education, teaching kids to read, write, add, and subtract in 3 and 4 and 5 years old. And you're focusing on apprentice programs after college. You're focusing on, after high school. And you're focusing in high school on allowing people to learn trades instead of, remember, there used to be, even you're old enough to remember, not you, Mayor. But when, you know, there were shop classes in school where people learned whether they're comfortable working with their hands, so there's a lot of things that we can do in education. There's a lot of things you can also do in terms of dealing with, I'm going to get you a lot more money, God willing, because I think we have universal support for it, beyond the money that came out of the original legislation. There's a proposal that I've just presented to, I'm the guy that wrote the community policing law. It got very bad publicity. But guess what? People are figuring out, guess what? It works. The people.
Guess what? Guess what?
The most victimized are the poorest communities. So we need cops in those communities, from those communities, but cops that are held accountable to everything that they say we're supposed to do. And we can do that. So focusing on law enforcement that, in fact, is equitable. Focusing on, you know, for example,
I'm pulling up more lives in the background for the March for Life. It's still going on. Kind of looks like things are calming down a little bit. I don't think it's over, but that's usually when the activity starts. So we'll be moving to the March for Life after this.
You know, when I was coming up as a kid, you know, cops were required to learn to shoot to kill. Well, you ought to be able to shoot to stop. You know, everything should.
That's not what guns are made for, old man Walter. It's called lethal force for a reason.
Look at to determine whether or not you can affect the safety of your city. And also, I think that, well, I'm not going to go on, but...
Yeah, don't go on, because you're so out of touch with how reality works.
You'll have the economic wherewithal through the programs and the federal government not telling you what to do, but giving you the wherewithal to do the things that you think most need to be done. And every community is a slightly different need.
Every CPL holder just was like, ugh, you do not shoot to stop. That's not the point. If you can stop someone, you don't need to shoot them. That's how that works.
I tell you what, he inherited a hell of a situation. And I remember Barack Obama turned to me one day and said, not a joke, Joe, fix Detroit. I said, oh, no problem.
That not a joke stuff makes me want to collapse in my chair.
Well, I got to know Detroit. I found out things the mayor taught me was, guess what? That something was as close to 70% of the people in the 60% of the people in the city who were high school educated had jobs that were outside the city.
It sounded like he said 60 billion people in the city.
So we ended up getting, what, 20 new buses, was it, initially? I mean, you know, just practical things to determine what are the things that both allow neighborhoods to stay united and move. And again, there's a lot.
Hillbilly at heart. When it starts calming down, that's when the feds get involved to start a riot. It is. That's when the fire starters start.
But he's much more than that. He's running this show for me because We also have, I can't remember I asked for the phone number and I forgot it. 881-8946 that you can call, because we have people in here. I'm not joking. A lot of people know we have these programs, but they're hard to navigate. So you can pick up the phone and call, how do I get the money to do A, B, C, or D? Can I do this with that? To cut through the red tape. Anyway, I hope I answered. You're about to cut me off.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have one more question from Mayor Sheevy from Reno, Nevada.
All right, thank you. So first of all, thank you for inviting us to your home. We love what you've done with the place. It's beautiful. And also, I want to say
you
thank you.
You like museums, right?
I want to say thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts.
I think he was trying to sweet talk her. I think that's what that was.
I think it should be a requirement of every president. Mayor Landrieu, I love you. Mayor Pete, I love you. And I honestly believe like more has been done because of that. And so thank you so much for your leadership. We are so grateful.
We have, what, six mayors in cabinet positions?
Are they 6? All right, maybe we can get to 12. I know 6 more.
We're going to have a big old demon gangbang after this.
See, love that too. Love that too.
They just lock the doors and start feeding on each other.
So you talked a little bit about mental health, and I want to say thank you so much for your leadership on that. It means the world to me. We are so fortunate to work with your Surgeon General. He is fantastic. He is fantastic. So all your mayors in the room are going to become mental health warriors. And we're going to be addressing addiction and loss and grief. And I'm going to ask you something.
I would just like the mayor to run the city correctly, not become a mental health whatever.
A lot of Americans have had a lot of loss and grief because of the pandemic. What would be...
I'm going to very quickly go get some more coffee.
What would you say to them? And
got to walk this ignorance off a little bit.
Personal loss and grief.
Well, first of all, as close staff knows, I spend a lot of time with folks who've gone through loss. Wife, daughter, husband, children, etc. And granted, I did lose my wife and daughter right after I got elected to the Senate. Tractor trailer broadsided them, killed my wife and daughter, and my 2 boys were little boys. They were on top of their deceased mom and sister for a long while because it took my local fire department a long time to do the jaws of life to get them out. And then the guy who should be standing here if Andy Biden was going to be president, and it's not hyperbole, is my son Bo. He's more qualified than I was. But he decided, I'll never forget, and asked me one Friday, he said, "Dad, what are you doing on Friday?" And I said, "What do you need?" He said, "I'd like you to swear me in." I said, "Swear you in? You're Attorney General of the state of Delaware. Swear you into what?" He said, "I joined the United States National Guard, the Delaware National Guard." And then when his unit got sent, he didn't have to go, but he got an exemption to go as long as he gave up the seat. And, that was tough. But you know what? I had family. Come on, man. I had an incredible wife. No man deserves one great love, let alone 2. And I had a mom and a dad and a sister and a brother were alive. And for example, when the accident happened early on,
Is he saying his goodbyes to us?
Gave up her home, and she and her husband moved into my house to help me raise my kids. Without being asked, just moved in. And by the way, 5 days after I was married, they were gone. But I say that not about me, but it's about what mental health does. I had people around me that were there to help me. I was lucky. everybody thinks I commuted every day I've traveled over 1,200,000 miles on Amtrak. Not a joke. I commuted every single day for 36 years, and then beyond that, as vice president, to go home. Everybody thought I went home because I went home because I couldn't afford two places. But anyway, no. I went home because I get to, kiss my boys goodnight and lay down with Sarah prayers, and then my daughter, etc. But I had my mother. I had my mother there. Every morning I'd drop the boys off when they were little at my mom's house, and then later I'd be able to drive them to school and they'd be picked up. But my point is I had so much help, and I had psychological help. Everywhere down there was someone there to basically hold my hand. Well, that's the mental health that a lot of families don't have. They don't have. And a lot of folks are in a situation where if they just had somebody to talk to, and that's why I think some of the things we can do that can also help families going through some real difficult times is, for example, preschool education, reading, writing, arithmetic, age 3. And it does two things. It helps your kid get an advantage, but it also helps mom or dad or a single parent or parents who are going through hell to have somebody there until 5 o'clock taking care of your kid while they're learning. So there's a lot of things that it does.
Who goes to school till 5 o'clock?
People who've gone through really tough times with drug addiction and a whole range of other things, alcoholism, they also are in a situation where they find themselves being able to have the kind of medical help that is needed in the mental health side of it. And so I just think having people to reach out who are professionals, who know how to deal with people going through trauma, tragedy, or self-inflicted wounds that they've had. And it makes a gigantic difference. The need for, look at what's happened. And I think I sometimes underestimate it because I stopped thinking about it, but I'm sure you don't. We lost over 1 million people in several years to COVID. What that means is, and the study was done, that there are 8 people close to every one of those, on average, those 1 million people. How many mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, uncle, aunts got up in the morning or sat down for dinner at night and there was an empty chair?
Taking us to the dinner table.
And what impact does that have on the rest of the family? And there's a lot of tricks.
So are you saying we should, hold China accountable?
Engage.
Is that what you're saying?
Engage the children who aren't addicted.
Maybe the little leprechaun guy who gave gain of function, maybe he should be held accountable? Is that what you're saying?
You can do. And the reason I gave you my personal story was I think it's just about knowing somebody's there. Knowing somebody you can reach out to when you get scared and hold their hand.
Hillbilly at heart, wouldn't it be funny if the Easter Bunny came out and took him off stage? That's hilarious, Hillbilly at heart.
My wife Jill got very engaged with the Brits and the U.S. military, and dealing with trying to convince people. Think of the military. The one thing you're taught to as a warrior is never complain, never explain, man. Don't complain. Well, guess what? Problem. It's a serious problem. You have more people dying of suicide in the United States military than any other reason today. More people. And so we got involved in reaching out to help families so that you don't make it, and then I'll conclude with this.
Yep, make us all go through a terrible time and put us on the edge, but then get on TV and talk about how we need someone to hold our hand once we've got brought to the edge. How about we stop treating people that way? How about that?
It's a medical problem.
Don't push people to the edge.
So hardest part is to get people, a lot of people, I say most people, to acknowledge that I'm getting help. I'm getting help. That's why we had this effort to my wife dealt with this program to provide for health for, post-traumatic stress for so many so many warriors. Pete, you toted a rifle, man. You were there. You see all the people. I don't know how many people.
I probably don't need to say this, but just to be clear, I am very big about getting help and being happy, keeping yourself sane. Old Man Walter's just talking nonsense, and that's what I'm highlighting. So just in case there's confusion, I'm actually really huge in seeking help and being okay, because I want everyone to be whole, and I care. Old Man Walter's just about them shenanigans.
Need some mental health because they're suffering from post-traumatic stress, what they went through. I mean, we don't look at them and say, you know, they're weak. But, you know, it's just about, anyway, we just got to reach out and change the stigma associated with the notion of seeking mental health. And it starts early when you can detect with children when they need some guidance, really, or it doesn't mean they're, quote, crazy. It means they have some disposition that has to be treated. And there's a lot that can be done. I'm talking too much.
You need to discipline your kids so they don't grow up to become Antifa and burn all the buildings down and not be held to any kind of accountability until one day life just comes and wham, right in the face, and they may not survive it because they ain't built like that. Ooh, they cut the whole live on Old Man Walter. They wrapped that right up. All right, well, I guess that's enough Old Man Walter, isn't it? We're gonna move forward to the march and see what's going on with that. Just give me a second. See, Breitbart's got something going on, but I'm wondering if it's a looping clip.
Okay, so this is Cindy Brunk from Oregon, and we're going to take
I'm not sure, one, if this is even in DC. It looks like DC. And two, I'm not sure that this is actually live.
here.
It is Reuters, or it's Breitbart, actually. I assume it's live, but I'm going to keep looking just in case.
It was just before I turned 19 that I first heard the words, "You're pregnant." Now, I remember thinking that I needed to decide if I wanted to become a mother. You see, I didn't realize that I already was one. I chose abortion because well-meaning loved ones encouraged it or offered no alternatives. I was ashamed of being pregnant. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to finish college, and I was still a child myself. I remember the boy who took me to the clinic standing at the counter. I remember walking down a long hallway. The only memories I have in the abortion room are of the man I'd never seen before walking in, and then when the abortion started, I blacked out. My memory returned 3 days later after a 9-hour bus trip home and working 2 shifts at a restaurant. My memory returned 3 days later as I opened a letter from the clinic stating that all of the tissue had successfully been removed. I know now that that tissue included the fully formed hands and feet and the once beating heart of my very first child, and how I wish I had fought for him. But there is good news. After 17 years, I found healing. During those 17 years, I suffered from nightmares, flashbacks, anxiety attacks, inability to bond with my future children, nor trust my parenting decisions, because after all, look how I'd done with my first. My marriage was falling apart, and I was quick on my way to becoming a single parent. But then somebody shared at church that they had been through an after-abortion healing program. I started that program feeling like the woman at the well, and I finished it absolutely certain that I am a beloved daughter.
Wow, the woman at the well.
Of an almighty king. Thank you.
Come on, Breitbart. Don't crap the bed on us here. All right, hold on. Let me see what I can do about this.
I've been sharing my story ever since. I love to travel.
She only wants to talk when you guys aren't looking.
Anywhere to do so. I am a beloved daughter of an almighty king.
Well done. All right, now we have a group of women from Puerto Rico. They've come all the way from Puerto Rico to share and be in the march with us and to be silent no more. Their leader is going to come up and be with them, and she will do a little bit of translating, but they're actually sharing in Spanish.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Nora Santiago. Vengo de Puerto Rico.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Nora. I come from Puerto Rico.
A finales de los años 60 estuve aquí en el Capitolio de esta misma ciudad marchando a favor de los derechos de la mujer y del aborto bajo el movimiento Liberación Femenina. En este movimiento las enseñanzas principales acerca del aborto era tu cuerpo, tu decisión.
At the end of the 60s, I was right here in front of the Capitol marching for women's rights and the right to abortion in the movement Female Liberation.
Una frase bien conocida hasta hoy no ha cambiado en estos movimientos. A pesar de que se luchaba por los derechos de la mujer que abortaba no encontraba apoyo en este movimiento.
Even though they fight for women's rights, the women that aborted and felt bad about it could not find any support or help afterwards.
Sino que estaba sola en su decisión. Para esta época el aborto era ilegal y no había información a las consecuencias físicas y emocionales luego de un aborto.
When I aborted, abortion was illegal, and the consequences of the pain physically and emotionally were not well known.
A la edad de 17 años quedé embarazada. Y mis mismas enseñanzas que aprendí en este movimiento fueron la mayor influencia para decidir terminar.
Hey, thanks for being here, Sam. Appreciate it.
When I was 17, I was pregnant, and the same teachings of this movement of female liberation was the reason why I finished with the life of my baby.
Luego del aborto, salí de la clínica con mucho dolor y sangrado. Tenía tanto miedo que mi mamá y otros se enteraran de lo que había hecho.
Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion. You are imposing your religion.
Have you hooligans heard any kind of estimation on how many people are there?
Shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion.
Had your dynamic. My bad.
The Constitution's a little bit more worthwhile than your Bible. Thank God for abortion. 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 Thank God for abortion.
Obvious obviously this person is there just trying to get conflict. Because if they actually knew anything about God, then I guess we know the rest of that story, don't we? So what she's saying, obviously, is just to rile up people who care about, you know, the Word of God and stuff. Just there for conflict. Hydrodynamic. I wouldn't expect it any other way. Congratulations, Hydrodynamic. I appreciate you telling me. Congrats to you and Karine. You're a lucky guy. I'm kind of confused. They're saying, let their hearts beat, and they're holding, you know, the sign with the huge acronym on it, the XYZ stuff. Is their message to let their heart beat because they are, there's the potential they could be XYZ? They could be a little flamboyant or whatever? Is that the message? I was a little confused by that. Not really, you know, not making any judgments, just literally confused. MDOT. See that sign? The one that said, keep that legal. Is that the one you're talking about? I expect to see lots of crazy signs. That's how it goes in DC. I wonder if we're going to see Purple Barney. Oreo's live, but they're in California. I guess there's an event going on over there. I don't know why I thought he would be in DC. Save the baby humans. That makes you feel like real sad. Like if you say that out loud, like holy, that's not good. Shouldn't have to have signs like that. Jeez, this guy's making friends. People supporting this suffer from, oh yeah, well that's what was confusing, is I think those people were anti all this, but then they had pro XYZ flags and signs and stuff, so that's why I was confused about, but whatever. Standing up for what you believe in is one of the most American things you can do, regardless of what it's for and how stupid it is. So I'm not really judging these people, especially because of the topic. I will never have this procedure done, so I don't really have an opinion on it. And I know everybody's going to start arguing with me now, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But it's a lot of interesting stuff on the screen. We'll say that.
Abortion is oppression. Abortion is murder. 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 Abortion.
So I assume this will go on for a while until people start getting tired, and then we'll see conflict break out. People grabbing each other's signs and yelling in each other's faces and stuff. We're getting there.
Abortion is murder. Abortion is oppression. 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 Abortion is murder. Abortion is oppression.
So we're going to show another view of this from another channel, I guess we'll say. It's kind of a farther back view so we can see how this crowd of people is moving around. Just give me a second. And then after we take a peek at this, we're going to play this minute-long video that the White House put out earlier. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I guess it's a 2-minute long video. But yeah, we're going to play that here in a second. It's super cringy. Super cringy. Put out by the White House. Old Man Walter and Hyena Harris sitting there just gazing into each other's eyes, whispering sweet nothings. We're going to watch that here in a second.
Almost as long. And so,
Alright, so the audio you're hearing is from Breitbart, but the video you're seeing is EWTN up in the right corner there. So they're, I don't know if their camera person is just super tall or if they're standing on something or what. They might be on a stage or on a fence or something. This way we can get, well, for a minute there, we were able to get a better view. So we're going to watch this video here in just a moment. Kelly K, that kid looked like you? What kid? I missed it. I missed it. Yo, I want to see that. If you guys can cut back. Hold on, maybe I can see it in the background. What kid? I don't see anybody on the screen that looks like me. Somebody will have to screenshot it and post it in Gilded or something like that. Either way. So this is a video that the White House put out 3 hours ago. I don't know if it's an attempt to try and relate to us or what. I don't know what this is. It's, if anything, it's a distraction from those classified documents and what a terrible job they're all doing just in general. So I'm going to read through the chat really quick. Drop some ones if you're ready to go. That way that I know that you're ready. real assistant. It's a fake protest. It's something. It's something. We're not gonna miss anything too spicy. They got to burn themselves out a little bit. So it's just chanting and banging on a Home Depot drum until then. All right, hooligans. I'm seeing those ones in the chat. Let's get her started.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, team.
Hi, guys.
How are you? What do you think? I think we're off to a pretty good start.
I think we're off to a great start. I mean,
Hard to believe it's 2 years, huh?
well, just remember where we started and all that was happening in our country. And I think the thing that has motivated us is the resilience, the determination of the American people.
Yeah, they stuck with us.
Right?
I mean,
I wish people could see what I.
Like we had a choice.
I've been in the Oval Office with you when the cameras.
It was that or just end it all.
And what you have singularly done based on who you are, and I mean this in all sincerity, to bring together nations, allies in the world, and you bring folks together in a bipartisan way, uniquely.
well, you're
You
very
have been an
gracious.
incredible.
Oh, it's unique, all right.
I really think, as you've heard me say, foreign leaders, there's never been a good bet to bet against America.
Yeah.
All right, Snooks, thanks for letting me know.
750,000
Right.
manufacturing jobs.
Think about that, and on top of capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month, what we've done, we have created more small businesses in the last 2-year span than any 2-year span in history.
I feel good. And look, we're in a situation as well where we've kind of united.
How many takes do you think this took?
And I think people are starting to realize that what you and I have been saying, there's not a damn thing we can't do if, in
Right.
fact, we do it together. More African Americans have health care, more women are employed in decent jobs.
And how about the fact that there is now a name that the world knows, and the name is Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
And more appellate court female judges who are
Right.
black than all other presidents in American history.
Yeah.
I feel good about where we are.
It's
I really do.
groundbreaking. We've got
a lot more to
momentum.
do.
Oh yeah, it's real groundbreaking.
Got momentum. Figured I'd make.
What, they're eating Big Macs together? I told you they were gonna have some blowback, and maybe that's how they got McDonald's back, right? Because they're telling everybody not to go there for the free Wi-Fi. So then at the end, they just enjoyed a big old Big Mac just to give them some reparations for hurting their business, telling everyone not to go there and do their homework. I like how they didn't even explain what they were sitting there for, and then they were served some sort of food, and then they just abruptly cut the the film. Where's video ever? Where's video ever? I should have seen how many thumbs down it had before I cleared it. My goodness. Kelly K, Cannibal Burgers. Yeah. They're like, don't you worry about those borders. And then just took a big old bite of man burger.
We got a spot for limbo.
All right, stand by, everyone. We're going to switch the battery real quick. Stand by. I'm going to switch the battery real quick.
We'll see if their live survives this. Sometimes if a buffer's too long, it'll drop. Put this other video on the screen while we wait. He's was really quick with it this time. Normally, you see it buffer for a minute or two. K-Guardian bug burgers for the parasites. Yeah, exactly. It's that time again, hooligans. Let's play Spot the Fed. These guys aren't protesting, they're just there to promote their new album coming out.
God bless America! God bless America!
Hogwarts came to town. Getting it. Kelly K. Feds are playing the music. I agree with that. They look fetish. Kinda surprised Patriot Front or something hasn't showed up yet. Those bars and stars. Kelly K. Scottish Feds. That's what it's looking like. Hydrodynamic, yeah, it's a little chilly out. Be out there in some kilts, breezy. Do you think, like, now that things are modern, that it'd be okay to, like, wear leggings under the kilt? You know, is that what's going on? That's my jam right there. That's how I first got into music, is playing snare drum on my own in my bedroom, driving people crazy. Band class said I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to participate in band class, so then I went to Full Sail and got a degree in music. Now I can teach my own band class if I choose to. It's kind of what I'll probably do if this live stream and stuff doesn't work out. I'll probably go to a school and teach high school music or something for $11.50 an hour. $11.50 doll hairs. Hydrodynamic cold nuggets makes them perform better. You gotta perform, give it your all. Your nuggets depend on it. What was that? An idol? Orange-haired cops. Okay. Check. These guys are out here making friends. I like that everybody's like dressed up in some sort of character clothing. It's like everyone's LARPing. Steve, would you do a podcast with a guest like Kyle? Yeah, definitely. I've never had anyone on the show, but I'm not against it. Kelly K, at least you get summers off. I know quite a people that work in education, and although it's nice to get the summer off, you don't get paid all summer, so half the time you gotta go find another job. At least that's how it is around here. All right, let me refresh the page. I don't know what's going on with Breitbart. I think they're having signal issues. Oh, Kelly K. Okay, I see what you're saying. I wasn't sure. Thank you so much, Red, for gifting 5 memberships on YouTube. I appreciate you, Red. Thank you. Happy Freedom, Nikki. Lots of cloaks. I think the signal spotted because of how many people are there. I think that's what's going on. It's not unusual to have buffering lives in DC, especially when we used to have those MAGA Million marches. We'd have so many people in the chat. The chat would be lagging. The screen would be lagging. That's just how DC gets down when there's a lot of people there. I'll try and see if I can find something more steady. I tell you, every time you guys aren't looking, that's when it plays. What they're saying. All I know is he said this guy is crazy, man. Come on. It's silly buffering. PJ, if you click the smiley face in the chat, it'll pull up like the YouTube emojis, and then I have a few in there that I've added. I try to add stuff in a little as much as I can, but YouTube reviews that stuff. And if they don't deem it fit, then I get punished for it, and it's silly. Jeez. Every time. Look at Klaus Daniels being lazy. I'm always putting him on camera. He's like, stop it.
That's okay. Thank you. You guys are doing amazing.
These two, they're gonna go on a date after this. Yeah, Timmy, see, I met your mom outside the Supreme Court building during a pro-life march. We decided we'd have some pro-life ourselves. And that's how I met your mama. Why not? Could be worse. Pumpkin. My son teaches music at a school in the UK. That's awesome. That's super awesome. I feel like that would be such a cool job to have, to be able to reach kids like that. And there's a lot of science and math that goes into music, and so to watch individuals put those pieces together and then create an, a tangible item that you can listen to over and over again, I feel like that stuff's amazing. I'd love to go into school for music and stuff. I wish I could go back. I wish I had time and money. I'm still paying off that $70,000 loan from the first trip I went, but I love music.
Abortion will! Abortion will! Be a crime! Be a crime! We are dancing! We are dancing! On the grave! On the grave! On grave! Versus Wade! Versus Wade! If you don't,
It's a duet.
you're not gonna die! You're not gonna die! Abortion will! Abortion will!
They're selling their Only Comrades and their new mixtape coming out. I don't know who that is, Robert, but yeah, YouTube's really sensitive. Sensitive about everything. Twitch is kind of like that too. I tried to upload emojis, and it took them a week and a half to review them to see if they were offensive or not. Stupid.
Not gonna die! Not gonna die! Abortion will! Abortion will! Be a crime! Be a crime! Let's go again! We are dancing! We are dancing!
I don't know who manufactures these bullhorns, but I bet they've made a ton of money in the last 2 years.
Baby, don't cry! Baby, don't cry! You're not gonna die! Pro-choice, that's a lie! Babies never choose to die! Pro-choice, that's a lie! Babies never choose to die! Pro-choice, that's a lie! Babies never choose to die! Pro-choice, that's a lie! Babies never choose to die! I'm gonna die! Abortion will!
Hydrodynamic, I can smell them. I'm saying, it's rough stuff. It's rough stuff.
You're not gonna die! You're not gonna die! Abortion will! Abortion will!
These two got the guts out. I know it ain't that warm there. Somebody use I'm gonna say ThoughtBot. Use Nightbot. See what the temperature is there in DC. I know it's not warm enough to have the guts out. Got them beer bellies hanging out.
Be a crime! To hide my behavior. My boyfriend came up with some of the money for an abortion. I have a child. my uterus! Out of my uterus! Out of my body!
And you did not have to have your parents' permission to kill your unborn child. That abortion also...
I just pulled it up, Robert. I'll check it out after the live.
I was supposed to
my
be.
body! Hands off our 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 body!
I'm not concerned with the thoughts and feelings of people afraid to breathe air. Not at all. I see that compliance cloth. Nah. I treat you like you're on your deathbed because you're scared to be alive. You're afraid to be alive. And so I just feel bad and just walk by. Can't have conversations with you. We're not going to build a relationship. You won't be here that long. You're afraid of air and everything else. So I just walk past. Like, I won't even deal with customer service people that are wearing compliance cloths. They're like, can I help you? I'm like, doesn't seem so. Got muted for just a second. I'm not trying to catch any copyright issues. Not for this. It's an interesting sign.
How abortion hurts men and women, so that hopefully someone will listen and choose life for their unborn baby and never have to go through the horrible emotional damage of abortion. Choose life. You will be glad that you did. Thank you.
Their flag says life wins.
Yeah, you're trying to get a photo.
All right, folks, you've heard these stories.
That guy looks like a Fed.
Yeah.
Where's all the people that are always like, I don't want to be on camera? Always. Pretty much every one of these lives, we always come across someone who's like, I don't want to be on camera. I'm out in the public eye. You can't record me. That's a pretty neat sign.
On the grave! On the grave! Oh! Versus Wade! Versus Wade! Baby, don't cry!
It's 48 degrees there. I mean, I don't know how they get down in Washington, but yeah, I guess in Michigan, if it was 48 degrees here, we'd be all breaking out shorts and tank tops and stuff, so I guess it might be warm enough to have the guts out.
Okay, march the line. That's all bad. It was fine when he was in front of us.
Hydrodynamic. Just need some fireworks, a trombone, and some fires to get this party started. You're not wrong. Well, this is kind of interesting because in the Bible it does talk about, give it all to God and stuff like that. But it also kind of describes cursing and witchcraft and stuff like that. And to repeat things like that and to not speak to God directly from your heart is actually considered witchcraft, and a form like any kind of manipulation is also considered witchcraft. And so to sit there and do that is actually pagan. And I bet they don't even know that. There's probably a lot of people in the chat that don't know that. I was a chaplain for 2 years, so we had to learn a lot of that stuff. We had to learn a lot of the history and whatnot, and not religion. You had to learn like it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. But not religion. Religion is like playing club. You're with other people who insist that you all feel the same. But if you don't walk like them, talk like them, dress like them, they'll be quick to kick you out of that church. They require you to be there same time, same day, over and over again, to go to a building with a symbol on top of it. That's all pagan. All of that is pagan. Anywhere where there's two believers present, it says that so is God. That's the church. We're the church. And I have a little trick that I learned when I was a chaplain. And for people that believe in God and like to challenge those that don't believe in God, all of you can participate in this with me. When you say I or me, point to yourself. Do it right now. Say me and point to yourself. I guarantee, if not all of you, the only ones who didn't, let's put it like this, the only ones who didn't do this are those who didn't participate. Everyone says me, but you think about it, you say your brain is where you are. Everybody feels that way when they think deep about it. Oh, I'm up here. This is where my brain is, where my thoughts are, my eyes, where I perceive the world is here. Well, then why do you point here? Why do you say this is me? Because this is where your heart is, and this is where God speaks to you. This is where your soul resides. So people who don't believe in God, well, then why are you pointing here? Don't you believe that you're up here? It's proof of God. Maybe that doesn't prove it to you. It proves it to a lot of people. We're right here, right in your heart, where you need to stay whole and keep that hate out. There's a lot of forms of it. You don't have to believe in God. You could call it karma. You could say it's luck. You could say it's like the book of the Kabbalion. It's all the same thing. Don't let that hate in your heart. Don't let this stuff weigh you down. Be whole. Wish for others to be whole. And if you can't help them, stay away from them. Don't make their life suck. Don't tell them they suck because you think they suck. Let them be. If you can't help them, let them be. Be happy. It's the wealthiest you'll ever be.
Pope Francis for angel abortion, for all the Catholic bishops, for unity in the church, for our Supreme Court and our president.
Welcome to my TED Talk. All right, I'm gonna grab some more coffee. Just give me just a moment. I'll be right back. I appreciate you, hooligans. I don't mean to preach to you guys and stuff like that. You know I don't get down like that, but I just want you guys to be happy, and I want you to be whole, and I want everybody to be that way. So, you know, it is what it is, and that's how I can display it. So hopefully I didn't offend anybody, and if I did, you're probably in the wrong chat. I'll be right back, just a moment.
God and the Blessed Mother, along with our patron saints and guardian angels, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. For the virtue of faith.
Why are you shaking?
Ave Maria.
Aborted. What if you were aborted?
What if your sister had an ectopic pregnancy? Would you let her die? Would you let her die? Would you let her die?
No, you can do it.
Would you let her die? Ectopic pregnancy would not let the mother die. No pro-life women dying right now.
You're not woman. You're not woman.
Show me the article. Show me the legislation. Pull a single source showing that there's any pro-life legislators, politicians, any legislation that would allow for women to die from that. She has none, because they're not there. The pro-life movement does not want women to die. We absolutely do not want that. There's no legislation that calls for that either.
I know.
We would love you for the moment you were conceived. Keep blowing.
All she can do is blow her whistle. That's all she's got. That's how they all get down, calling names and stuff. That's all they got. Scream and cry hard.
Because we love you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Grey Wolf.
Pray us away! Pray us away! Pray us away! Pray us away! Pray us away!
Saying?
Pray us away! Pray us away! Pray us away! What does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean? Pray us away! Pray us away!
away! Pray us away!
Preacher, you are led by God and you are God's creature. We don't want you to go away.
God, which God? Which God?
Find God.
Which God?
Snooks, you crack me up.
Which one?
Miss Jamie, that's why I couldn't attend a protest. There'd be whistle assaults. Yeah, I mean, I would like to go and you know, try and cover stuff, but I don't think I could handle people yelling in my face and blowing whistles in my face and stuff, because I know if I did that to somebody else, they wouldn't be okay with it. That's not okay. If I'm trying to get at you, I've never seen anyone that I was trying to get at just sit there and be like, oh, this is going to be all right. No. No, I'm Big Beefy 200, okay? I try to be nice, but I don't know if I could tolerate somebody blowing a whistle in my face like that. I'd have to pray on it, because otherwise, I don't know. It'd be hard. It'd be tough. Be tough. It looks like Greta. She just had a short little interview with Rebel News I saw earlier, and they just made her look like a clown. That stuff's probably doing numbers right now, actually. I think it's the first footage of her since her, you know, big bad arrest that happened the other day.
Alex?
Hydrodynamic Big Beefy, that's what they call me at the club. Put your hands together for this next dancer, Big Beefy.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Absolutely, Steve.
Father, to the Son, to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever.
Snooks, that's what she always says. You got me. You got me, Snooks. That's a good one.
The second sorrowful mystery is the scourging at the pillar. The fruit of that mystery is purity. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
That's what I tell him, Guardian. That's what I try to tell him.
As we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
I call Klaus Daniels Chicken Nugget. But man, when he jumps up on Klaus Tower or hops down, it shakes the whole house. That's a heavy nugget. The reality is, though, they don't have to crowd these people and give them attention. I mean, yes, she's blowing a whistle and it's hard to ignore that. But to, like, circle them and give them all this attention, like trying to debate them. You're going to debate a person blowing a whistle? They're not here to debate. They're here to get some attention. See, their only comrades isn't selling the way they thought it was. Those feet pics are not flying off the shelf as they intended. So here they are, seeking attention and handing out probably Polaroids that you would never want to look at. There you go. There you go. There's a comrade. That's assault. No pepper. Come on, don't blow my monetization now. Don't get my ads taken away just because you want to talk a little spicy.
Let's go, baby.
She wants some of that equal rights, equal lefts.
Let's go. I'm not scared of you.
Look at her. Let's go. No, don't say that. Hillbilly at Heart, gotta play some Fallout. Good show. I appreciate you, Hillbilly at Heart. I'm actually gonna start live streaming, playing Fallout. Not on here, but if you go to JeffMAC Gaming, I'm not sure if it's on the link tree yet or not. Actually, I don't think it's out yet. You'd have to go through Gilded, or you might be able to search it if you look for JeffMAC Gaming. But I think I'm gonna start live streaming that on the weekends when I'm not doing this. Look at this one over here, channeling the energy of the sirens from the bullhorns. She's gonna try and just knock one out right here. Ooh, they're gonna kiss? She looks like a full-blown meth head. But she can afford an Apple Watch. Alright, let me find the link, Anime Adventure. I'll drop it for you. You don't have to click that link if you don't want to, but that link that I just put in the chat on all platforms takes you to the new gaming channel that I've started. Play video games every now and then. Obviously, I'm a very busy person. You guys can see I'm live every day. I'm in Gilded every day. I'm on the website every day for the hooligans that are on the website already. So it's not like I'm quitting this to go play video games or anything like that. But it's part of recharging my batteries. Sometimes I can't go outside. Sometimes to play the game makes me feel better. And I'm in the business of being happy. So, you know, it is what it is. And so I like to commentate while I play the game and whatnot. And I started recording it. And there's a couple people that dig it. So I put it in the chat. You don't have to follow if you don't want to. And it's not going to interfere with this channel or the work that I do here in any kind of way. So I'll just put that out there.
Out of here, bitch.
I want to play it, but I'll get that copyright nonsense, and I can't have that happen. But it makes you feel like Trump was about to walk out. He was about to see the MAGA king.
Abortions. We have the #1 preventer of abortion.
Hillbilly at Heart, I'm at 51. Do you know how many levels you can get?
Nothing on this.
I'm trying to think. I think you have to do something special to get up above that. I can't really remember. I'll have to get back to that. Hillbilly at Heart.
Yes.
Read the Bible, damn it!
Yes. So right here. So this here's this is a condom. I'm gonna demonstrate how to put this on.
Doing some picture taking.
What's up, bro?
Kevin, right now I'm playing the new Warzone. I was playing Forza, but I wore that game out. And then I've been playing Fallout 4 for like 10 years now. Like the same game. I have cleared everything, all the side missions. I even have modded missions. I'm hardcore about Fallout, big Fallout fan. I have all the games. Hey, thanks for being here, Hillbilly at Heart.
Bless you. Oh wait, you got one more. I gotta turn it over. I gotta turn it over. It has a copyright. So does blue lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter. And guess what? This is in court. This is the court case. You can look it up and please do the story. You know they don't like those stories that come forth, but Amazon is paid no royalties. The government, unfortunately, and some Bivens conduct, acting like there's some co-founders that I don't even know. So yeah, we're gonna end up getting that out in the open. It's the FTX story. So let's do the right thing. And look, you're looking at the richest person ever because trillions are owed.
Thank you.
Trillions.
Birthing process goes into the cabinet.
Was that person trying to claim that they've like copywritten the BLM phrase and that they're seeking like royalty payments? No. That's good luck. Good luck to you. And it doesn't just happen on its own. You have to take people to court. You have to hire attorneys. You can't just stand around like, well, one day the money will show up because I did this thing and everyone copied it and it'll just be entitled to me. No, that's not how it works. That is not how it works.
Pull it down to the base. Check it frequently, especially if you roll out at any time.
Happy Freedom Prepper Jules. Appreciate you being here.
Some of you don't like contraception.
Mother of mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee we cry, poor banished children be. To thee we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn thine almost faithful advocate towards us. And after this, our exile, show unto us the blessed body of Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, O holy Mother of God, that we may be made
You can also talk to your doctor about other forms of contraception.
I think the camera guy is muting it because of the music. I think he caught on to what's going on. Or he lost connection with his microphone. It could really be either or. Okay, that's one way to end a live. Is that how I'm supposed to do it? Just, that's it. No warning or nothing. I don't know. It is what it is. Well, hooligans, I'm sitting here like shaking. I need to eat some food and stuff. I'm just full of coffee and water. No breaks. So I think we're going to be wrapping this up. I'm going to keep an eye on the protest because I don't want to miss any action going on. We ain't heard all the screaming and stuff, but the payoff is capturing the action that the news won't talk about. And the White House isn't going to talk about it. So I got to make sure that we cover it. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I got to make some food and all of that. But I really appreciate you guys being here. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance really quick. But first, I'm going to give you my spiel. All right, hooligans. When you get a second, please go to jeffmaclive.com or find the link in the description. On the homepage, I've posted all of my links. You can find the link to join Gilded. Gilded is free. It's currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live. Do not rely on like YouTube and Facebook and all this stuff to send you notifications. That stuff is set up by an algorithm, and depending on how much I go live, whether or not I cut shorts, whether or not I cut 10-minute videos and I put it up 6 times a day, the algorithm will respond to my activity and send out alerts based on that. And it's not like an accurate system. Okay, so don't rely on their stupid notification system. They just use that to hurt creators. Go join Gilded. It's free. You can download the app on your phone or you can use it on a computer. Either way, as long as you have the app, you'll be notified every single time we go live, no matter when or where we go live. And you'll also receive notifications for important events or surprise events and stuff like that. There is a news board on Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on. And there's a ton of hooligans to hang out with every day, all day. It is a group chat with different group channels to talk about different topics and whatnot. But like I said, if you're not a social person, hold up. Chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken. Okay, let's see if my tongue is untied now. Go ahead and join Gilded. Let's just put it like that. Go join Gilded. It is worthwhile. Anyways, also on the JeffMAC Live homepage, you can find the link to the merch store if you would like to grab some merch. We have shirts, hoodies, and stickers. Everything is displayed in black and white, but if you find something you like, click on it. Everything comes in multiple colors. You'll probably find a color you like. Also on the JeffMAC Live homepage, you can find links to PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, or Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to support what I do. There's also an Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's very easy to use. Anything you buy off the wish list will be sent directly to me. You don't have to worry about seeking information or anything like that. Donna Sparks, if you're still watching, thank you so much. I've received a few packages in the last couple days, and I keep forgetting to tell you about it. So thank you so much for sending me stuff. I think we're going to do an unboxing, so I'm not going to reveal anything right now, but thank you so much, Donna Sparks. On the bottom of the JeffMAC Live page, you will also find links to join the membership program. If you would like to do so, there's a membership program for YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. And that's my spiel, hooligans. Let's get ready for the pledge. Thank you so much, Red, for gifting another 5 memberships over on YouTube. You're awesome. Thank you, Red. All right, hooligans, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, hooligans, that's that. That's all I had planned today. I will keep an eye on the March for Life. If anything gets active, we'll go live again. Otherwise, I will be seeing you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for another Coffee with Hooligans. I appreciate you guys. Big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate all of you, and I would not be able to do this without you. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap. So is it weird you guys out when I stare right into the camera? Because it weirds me out, but I noticed that everybody else does it. Put a 1 in the chat if I should continue doing that and try and do better, or put a 2 in the chat if you really don't care. Thank you, hooligans. I'll see you tomorrow.